of the wing.
Wow.
Set out in front of the wing.
That does not look right at all.
Take that in for a second. I mean, I tripped on that for like a whole night.
That's the first of 2 bonuses. I'm so glad you stuck around. Going to caller 379. Go ahead. You're on the air with Moneybags.
Hey, Moneybags. Z Rabbit here. I had a question for you.
Sure.
Go ahead.
How's it going?
Not too bad. So back to the first part of the show and with the geography changing and whatnot. You know, some people say things got bigger or smaller, and changing degrees, whatnot, 30 degrees. Do you think that would affect time? I mean, literally, it seems like this year has just flew by. And this was about 15 days ago. I'm thinking, hey, 15 days, I got to work 15 days straight, and then I get some vacation time. Well, I'm at that time now, and it seems like that was a few days ago that I was thinking that.
So the caller is suggesting perhaps that the speeding up of time has something to do with this.
I believe that the time is connected to what's happening. The speeding up of time. Many of us in the community have been experienced a speeding up of time. Terrence McKenna is popular for talking about a time wave zero that he researched, where there's so much more happening in the same amount of time, because there really is no time. Everything's happening. Everything exists now. We've created time. So yeah, definitely, I believe some connection with time. Time's going so fast, and I know when you get older, it seems to go faster. The perception of it is different, but I don't think that's what's going on. It's really sped up. I mean, even if you count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, that doesn't work anymore. The 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi doesn't work anymore. You can check that out. People were doing videos on that.
Huh.
Caller?
Yeah, because I mean, it is insane. As you age, time, they say, does go faster. But
it sure does.
I'm still fairly young. I'm 36 years old. I should not be experiencing this yet.
Right. No, I have people in their 20s that are saying that time sped up for them. And that's not something I think typically in your 20s you'd be mentioning. So I definitely think there's something going on with time.
A fast acceleration.
It's connected to this phenomenon.
Thank you, Z Rabbit, for the call.
Hey guys, thanks for your input. I greatly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good night, Moneybags.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Good night. I hope I hope that helped a little bit. That's just my take on it.
Merry Christmas too.
Merry Christmas to you. It is an interesting, point that the caller brings up about acceleration, and you would think that if we are accelerating at a greater speed than we were back in, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, that perhaps that plays into some of this effect.
Well, there's a Schumann resonance that's been spiking over.
You are listening to Rip and Common Sense Radio.
That's right, where we take you well into the midnight hour with our special Art Bell Archives show, happening tonight and every night this weekend, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Tune in as we open up the Art Bell Archives and dive into the lost classics of a vocal treasure. We take a look at those stories and we bring them up to date and we share them with you. We ask for your input and your shout-outs, your call-ins, as we go through the most amazing stories ever told. Tune in tonight and every night as we reinvestigate the Art Bell Archives live.
The Art Bell Archive Show, 7
Ripon
p.m.
Rabbit
Pacific,
Hole is a
10/9
community-driven
Central,
radio.
RiponCommonSense.com.
At times the community comments may reveal prejudices and other beliefs that we or our sponsors do not condone. Views or opinions expressed by the community, callers, or guests, are those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views or opinions of this site. Ripon Common Sense content is intended for mature audiences only. Enjoy.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Art Bell Archive live show. I'm your host, AJ, the Ripon Rabbit. Give yourselves a round of applause for being smart enough to be here. Tonight, we dive back down the rabbit hole into that strange tunnel of the Mandela effect. My guest, special guest, Moneybags73, is here tonight, and we're going to go through the top Mandela effects affecting movie quotes. That's right. He brought along with him a ton of material tonight, including residue from the actual actors themselves, validating some of what he claims the Mandela effect has done to our modern-day movie quotes. It's an exciting ride, so buckle up your seatbelts, folks. Things are going to get real shifty tonight, Sunday, January 5th, 2020. Now, we started this broadcast back in November of last year, so we're recently new to the airwaves here. And one of the first programs that I did in the Ripon Rabbit Hole was a feature episode on the Mandela effect due to the fact that Art Bell, back in the late 80s, early 90s, actually referred to the death of Nelson Mandela. So that was one of our very first episodes that we ever did here on the Ripon Rabbit Hole. And immediately, the very next morning after that show had aired, I received this DM in my Twitter. Hi, my name is Evan. I have a channel on YouTube called Moneybags73 and have over 400 videos on the Mandela effect. And he wasn't kidding. I'm listening to your Mandela effect show and can't wait to recommend it to my 40,000 subscribers. I've been in contact the past few days with Cynthia Sue Larson discussing time travel. Excellent show so far. I started researching this in March of 2016, but experienced it as early as 2009 with Lucky's Grocery Store that started in Oakland, California, near my hometown. It changed to Lucky. Now, call it fate or call it whatever you will, but Moneybag73 reached out to me on that night, November 18th, 2019, and we have been communicating and speaking with each other ever since. So tonight, we're going to open up the wild card line for you and your questions regarding these movie quote Mandela effects, or just a comment in general on the Mandela effect. If you have a question for Moneybags, we will be opening up the studio wildcard call-in line coming up here in the second part of the program. So that should give you ample time to develop your questions on air. And I'm pleased and honored to welcome him back again onto the show for his fourth time. And as we've recently announced, in 2020, Moneybags73 will be here the first weekend of every month. He'll be a regular, so you can join and subscribe for the notification of which day in that first weekend he'll actually be on. But we're calling it Mandela Monthly, and we're excited about some of the shows that we've been planning for you in 2020. So please help me give a warm rabbit hole welcome to Moneybags73. How you doing, Moneybags?
Doing wonderful. Looking forward to tonight's show.
Boy, so am I. I've been so excited to have you back again, and I'm just absolutely elated that you're here this evening to talk about this fantastic subject, the Mandela effect. You had a great New Year and a happy Christmas, I trust.
Yeah, everything went fine. It just blew right by. So I can't believe how fast everything's going, but that's part of what we're all dealing with.
It sure did. And we were dealing with a lot of technical difficulties since Santa and the elves brought us a whole ton of new production equipment. And it took a learning curve of the better part of a week to get everything figured out and dialed in. And I'm glad it's working tonight. So I'm just going to ask the audience, both on your channel and our channel here at Rip and Rabbit Hole, put a 1 in the chat room if everything is coming through okay for you this evening. We have no way of monitoring that without your 1s in the chat room. So Moneybags, every time you're here, you blow my mind. And of course, this is your now 4th time that you've been on the Rip and Rabbit Hole. You were here first in November of 2019. We just did the Mandela General show together, and we talked about many different things. And of course, I'm very new to this. This is, since November, my mind has been open to the Mandela effect. And of course, you then since have come back with shows like Mandela Music. We talked about mind-blowing musical notes and lyrics that have changed. We talked about, in your 3rd visit, the Mandela movements, the continents and body parts and things that, have all changed. And, of course, through our conversations, we've decided that you're going to become a regular on the show. You're going to be here the first weekend of every month. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm excited about that. Yep. Thank you for that opportunity. I look forward to talking about the Mandela effect. It's such a mind-blowing phenomenon that we've been experiencing, a lot of us, for close to 4 years now.
Yeah, you're a seasoned pro when it comes to this stuff. I'm a newbie, so I'm buckling up my seatbelt tonight because I feel like I'm in for a pretty deep rabbit hole. In fact, all of the times you've been on the show, I've selected the topics. And tonight is actually the Mandela movie quotes is a topic that you picked. Can you tell us why you're intrigued by that particular subject?
Well, in the community, we have something called reality residue, which seems to be left over from another more familiar reality that we have conscious memories of. And with movie quotes, there's a lot of clips you can find from parodies and different movies that use the quotes over time. So there's just a lot of good residuals that go along with the movie quotes. I think that's why I enjoy it the most. And so many people know these movie quotes, and when you hear it differently, it just gives you a certain feeling. It sounds foreign, and you know that it's not right. So I just think that this is one of the more exciting. It's probably one of the. I don't really want to say changes, because nothing. It depends on how you look at it. Nothing's really changing. I think we're just experiencing another reality where things have always been the way they are. There are people that believe that things are actually being changed. There's only one reality and someone's tampering with it. That's still on the table for me, but I think that, I don't really think that that's what's happening. I don't think it's the tampering of one reality. I think we're experiencing multiple timelines that are collapsing. But anyway, that's getting off topic.
That's fine.
I'm sure you want to get to the movie quotes, right?
I do, but before we get into the movie quotes, I want to know, do you watch a lot of movies? Are you a big movie buff?
I have not been a big movie buff in the past 10 years or so.
Okay.
But I did watch a lot of movies in the 80s and 90s. And that's where a lot of these hit home for me, because that's where I've seen a lot of the changes from. And the younger generation, they're not hit like those of us that are over, say, 35 and above, because they don't have, the younger generation will say, oh, well, you heard it wrong on The Simpsons, and that's why you think it's wrong. I didn't watch The Simpsons. I watched the original movie. So,
Right.
That's what you hear from the younger people. Oh, you misquoting it from The Simpsons. No, I don't think so. So you don't understand what's going on here.
Well, we're going to get into all of that in just a few moments. Thank you to the chat rooms for your ones. I appreciate that. Good evening, Mike Johnson, Dark Wolf's Den, My Life HC33, Bleed the Same. Good to see everyone both in the Rippin' Rabbit Hole and the Moneybags 73 room. I'm looking at Alyssa V and Lonix00, Jeffrey Quinez, quite a few more listeners on your channel tonight, Evan, than there are on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. So it's hard to keep a track of both of the chat rooms, but we're going to do our best. If you are listening live or on demand, we've put together on the show notes in the link listed below both videos, you're going to be able to find a link to the show notes. And if you click that link and keep the broadcast open so that you can hear us, you're going to land on a page where we've set up a poll where we have some of the movie clips, not all of them, but a few of them, some of the more significant ones, set up in a voting scenario for you tonight. And we'd love for you to take part in that poll throughout the broadcast as we go through these clips. And at the end of the show tonight, we're going to be tallying up the listener poll, and we're going to hear your results on these types of clips. So we'll get things started with the first clip that you sent me. The example, of course, we've spoke about this particular clip before. Luke, I am your father is the movie quote that will start us off tonight. So why don't you set that up for us? Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's taking place with this Mandela effect?
Okay, so this is one of the larger, more impactful changes that a lot of people have experienced. This was the smoking gun for a lot of people. In Star Wars, people remember Darth Vader saying, Luke, I am your father. And it's actually, well, you're going to play the clip, right?
Yeah, and in this particular clip, just so you're aware, what we're going to do is we're going to hear the actual clip first. All the other ones, we're going to pretty much play the actual words after we talk about them. But in this particular one, we're going to play the actual clip. So let's listen to how the Empire Strikes Back movie clip with Darth Vader and Luke actually goes. Here it is.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
So that's what he said. I mean, he said, no, I am your father. But that's not what I remember. And apparently that's not what you remember either.
No, it was always Luke, I am your father my entire life. What I think is happening, or maybe I'll get into that as we go along here, but I believe it was also filmed the other way, and we're hearing the "No, I am your father." Now, are we going to hear James Earl Jones and what he's the voice of Darth Vader?
Yeah, of course. The next set of clips that we're going to hear is the residue.
That's the most incredible part about all this is when you start researching the Mandela effect, you find James Earl Jones, who recalls the famous iconic line, like many of us do. And it's those things right in the beginning that kept me going, that made me know, well, this is not misremembering. There's no way that the actor, well, there is a way, but there's no way that all these actors were going to go through, some of them tonight. But there's so many of the Mandela effects where the actors remember their famous iconic line incorrectly the way we do. And it just makes no sense whatsoever to say that, oh, well, they're just misremembering the iconic line as well, which is possible, but the same wrong way that we always knew it. I mean, it just gets to the point like,
No, and I think that's what's really what's interesting here is that not just, you saying that these movie clips have changed, but the residue that's left behind is equally amazing, not just from the actors, but in pop culture itself. So let's listen to a little taste of the Luke, I am your father residue.
I saw the dialogue that said, Luke, I am your father. I said to myself, he's lying. I wonder how they're going to play that lie out.
La, 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 Luke. Luke, I am your father.
Now, what's interesting about that clip is it's actually a toy that is left in residue that you found this clip of an actual Star Wars toy, a Darth Vader, that actually said, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah, I didn't personally find that. I mean, everyone in the community, we've been finding all these things and sharing them all as the years have gone on. I don't remember who found that, but that's an actual ornament that says, Luke, I am your father. And I believe it's from Lucasfilms.
Unbelievable. Let's listen to one more residue here.
Luke, I am your father.
Now that's actually James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
That is saying
I've
his
come
own
across
line.
about three different instances where he was in a show. I can't remember the name of the television show, but he also said it in that show. That right there was from an interview that he was doing. But yeah, I mean,
absolutely
over
phenomenal.
the years, he repeats it.
It's so weird. And, to have the actual voice actor that did Darth Vader's voice not even know his own quote, or perhaps he is remembering the actual quote and it has changed. Of course, many different theories as to why the phenomenon takes place. Now, you equally sent another actor that was in the movie in the same scene, Mark Hamill, and he appeared on Saturday Night Live. Is that where this clip is from?
Yes, this is great. And
this was basically.
I'll just let you play it. I'm at a loss of words because it seals the deal that there's something going on.
Yeah, this one sold it for me. Something definitely is going on. Here is Mark Hamill with Will Ferrell, and I don't know the other two actors' names, in a skit where it's like the Home Shopping Network where they're selling Mark Hamill. Take a close listen to this.
We assure you this is the Mark Hamill! Absolutely. I mean, just listen to him say, may the force be with you. Yeah. Go on, Mark.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't even say that in the movie.
Just say it, Mark. Let's do it. Say it.
Yeah. May the force be with you.
Fantastic. Okay. Wait, I think
Now, this is the caller that really seals the deal here.
we have a buyer. Yeah. Hello, caller.
Yeah, I'm thinking about buying this guy, but I want to make sure he's the real thing. Can you make him say, Luke, I am your father?
Wait a minute, caller. Now, I didn't say that. Darth Vader said it.
Just play ball, Hamill. Let's do it. Just play ball.
All right.
Luke, I am your father.
Unreal. I mean, the crowd even goes nuts there, thinking that obviously that was the line. And, I mean, there's no explanation.
No, I mean, that's what I've become used to researching the Mandela effect. You see that over and over again. You hear things that play out just like you would expect them to with how you remember the line in whatever movie or, whatever catchphrase or whatever it is. There's just so much at this point. And apparently, all this stuff, that's not the way it was in this reality. I mean, that's what I find myself saying all the time. In this reality, which sounds so strange, but I don't know how else to say it because it's such an incredible thing that's going on here.
Well, and again, such a big Mandela effect for myself as well. When I first heard that particular Mandela effect, I was blown away because that's how I remembered it. And most of these that you've sent along, I'm familiar with in the way that you've presented them. Now, I haven't looked ahead, so I don't know all of the actual quotes, but this next movie quote that you sent along deals with another iconic film, which is The Wizard of Oz. And of course, Dorothy gets carried away in a tornado and she lands in the land of Oz. And there's some iconic quotes that came out of that film that are still being talked about today. So set up this next clip. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Okay, so, personally, my entire life, it was Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. And that's how I believe most people recall the line. But this one here, in doing research, you'll find that there's actually 4 different quotes. And we're seeing that more and more now. I just put it out a video tonight, which has another new quote. Maybe we'll get into that at the end of the show. But we're seeing multiple. It's not just, well, it was this and now it's this, but we're seeing multiple quotes. So I always recall, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, but that's not what it is. Were you going to play
actually,
some residuals on that?
We're going to play the residual first. And this is a clip that you sent from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Is it not?
I don't recall.
I think that's where the movie is from. And you're going to hear that, these 2 kids have slid into this overgrown world because their father shrunk them down in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And listen closely to the Wizard of Oz reference, not in Kansas anymore.
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Toto. I don't think we're in the food chain anymore, Dorothy.
Now, I think that's a little hard to hear, but if you listen to it again, that's what she says. We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto.
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Toto. I don't think we're in the food chain anymore, Dorothy.
So that's clearly what I remember. Is that what you remember too? We're not in Kansas anymore?
Yeah, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. That's the exact quote.
We're in Kansas.
I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. But if you go watch the movie now, you could take off your VHS off the shelf or whatever. It's not like a new version or anything like that. All the old VHS tapes, they don't match our memories anymore. So this one here, you will find that it says, Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. So it's about Dorothy's feelings now. It's not what she thinks.
Now that is a little bit weird because, as we've discussed before, when these Mandela effects occur, it clearly is something that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, a lot of them to me are inferior, but like someone was reminding me, you have to look deeper into these things. A lot of times there's messages, life is, well, that's another one we're going to cover, but there's messages in some of these quotes.
Right.
And so how it changes, it makes you think, well, hey, like we're not in Kansas anymore. Well,
it's creepy.
I'm not in Kansas anymore. I'm in a new place because my whole world's been turned upside down.
Let's actually listen to the actual clip. Here it is from the film itself. Listen closely. It just doesn't even sound right. That's what's weird.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, now let me stop you right there. See, anyone listening who knows about this, did you hear the H? Did you hear the have? Because that's not correct. You go look at the screenplay, and it'll say I''VE, a feeling. I've a feeling. That's
it's not
the
even
actual quote is I've a feeling. It's not I have a feeling. But now we're starting to hear have in that original movie, and you couldn't before. All you heard was I've a feeling. I've. Now you hear the H, like AJ just said here, I have, because that's what he heard. So you're hearing the H now, and that's not in the screenplay.
So very,
that's odd
very
there.
bizarre. And it doesn't stop there with that film. Like I said, so many unbelievable, iconic lines came out of this film. Now we're going to move to the second Mandela effect of The Wizard of Oz, which is the Fly My Pretties. And of course, here are residue that Moneybags 73 has shared with us tonight. Residue from throughout pop culture that verifies the line at one time in someone's memory was Fly My Pretties.
Fly, my pretties, fly! Continue the research.
Fly, my pretties, fly, fly!
Fly, my pretties, fly. Now, I haven't looked ahead on this one. I know that the next clip we're going to play is the actual witch, but Moneybags, are you telling me that she doesn't say this? She doesn't say, fly, my pretties, fly, when she opens up that window and those damn monkeys fly out the window? That's not what she says?
He's definitely not going to say that. And there's even a new part to this, because I just made a new video that what I had come out years ago saying it changed to, along with other YouTubers, like 3 or 4 YouTubers who made videos, as well as websites, all said it changed to what you're going to, well, no, you're not going to hear it. It changed to fly, fly, fly. So he just said, now fly, fly, fly. That was what it changed to.
Well, we haven't heard that yet. Is that what you're telling me?
No, that's disappeared from reality. It doesn't exist. That's what it changed to for me and thousands of other people, hundreds of thousands of people. It changed to now fly, fly, fly. That was what it was. But now you're going to hear what it is now, which it wasn't a couple of years ago, which just sounds like I got a screw loose. I understand that.
Unreal. In fact, we're going to listen to it real quick before the end of this first half.
Take special care of those ruby zippers. I want those most of all. Now fly! Fly!
So what did you hear?
I heard her say, fly, fly, and my mind is blowing. Moneybags, I'm going to put you on hold for just one moment. We're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back again.
Whoa, that was quick.
Mind blowing. Are you enjoying the show so far? Put a 1 in the chat room if you are. We're here every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evening live on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole, bringing you the very best of paranormal topics such as the Mandela effect. We'll be back to Moneybags 73 and the Mandela movie quotes episode in just a few moments. But while we're taking this break, we want to remind you, please, if you haven't done so already, please click the show notes listed below and take our vote, our Mandela vote on these movie clips. If you click over on tonight's show notes in the link listed below, it'll take you over to rippinrabbithole.com, where you'll have a chance to see tonight's show notes, including links to Moneybags if you're not already a subscriber to him, as well as our vote. Now, you can vote on a few of these chosen movie quotes that we're discussing tonight. You can do this whether you're live listening or reviewing this on demand at a later time. The show note link will still contain this quiz or this poll, and we're going to leave it up for at least a couple weeks, so it's going to be there for a while, and it will always be linked in the archives. Now, while you're there over at Rippin' Rabbit Hole, please do us a favor. Take a few moments to put your email address in our subscribe or register. Yeah, that's right. If you haven't checked it out, Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a community-generated press. We have several contributors that contribute stories, links to videos, all sorts of really fun stuff. And you can be a contributor as well. And this is how you do it. Just register at rippinrabbithole.com. And if you've got an interesting story or if you've got an interesting post, you can post it. It'll come right to us. Also, at the bottom of every page at Rippin' Rabbit Hole is a little red microphone. And you can use that microphone to send us a shout-out. And that shout-out comes to the studio. You can record up to a 30-second message. You can do one per hour, I think is the threshold. And it'll come right here to the studio, and we'll play your shout-out live on air. So you can do that while you're listening, or you can do that on demand. Either way, a lot of fun here at the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. We're going to return back to Moneybags with your calls. We're going to open up the wild card line in just a few moments. So get ready, folks, to interact live with Moneybag 73 regarding Mandela effect and movie quotes. That's Rippin' Common Sense Radio for you right here at Rippin' Rabbit Hole. We're back in the studio with Moneybags 73, who's here, and we're going through the most mind-bending movie quotes that he brought along with him tonight. And your calls on the wild card line coming up in just a few moments. So get ready to dial, smile and dial here on the Art Bell Archives live show. When we left off, we were discussing some of the mind-blowing movie quotes that Moneybags 73 brought with him, but more important are the residues. Unbelievable to hear these, the very actors that made these lines so famous misquote their own lines, and that's where you really have to think, what's going on here? And that's why we're doing this extended version of the Mandela effect tonight, where we're going to continue going until we're through our entire list. So stick around. If you're just joining us, my guest Moneybags, Evan Moneybags 73, is here tonight, and we're going through the top Mandela effect movie quotes. Now, if you're a little unfamiliar with exactly what the Mandela effect is, continue to pay attention, and you're going to learn a whole lot. I never stop learning when you're here on this show. Now, before we went to the break, if you're just joining us, we've already covered a lot of ground. And boy, that time acceleration theory really kicks in, because didn't that first half just fly by?
Well, you said we were going to break. I thought we'd just been on for like 5 minutes.
No, that's how it goes. It goes so fast. Now, right before we cut to the break, we were in the middle of Fly, My Pretties, Fly from The Wizard of Oz. And this is the actual way that she says it. Listen closely. I'll play it again.
Take special care of those ruby slippers. I want those most of all. Now fly! Fly!
That famous music, as soon as you hear that, dun 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 dun. Now, you had something else to add to this.
Yes. So originally, all I could hear was, now fly, 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 3 flies. But now you can hear, well, if you go look up the line in the screenplay, it's now fly, fly, bring me that girl in her slippers, fly, fly, fly. So it's a huge quote now. The music is so loud, it's hard to hear bring me that girl in her slippers. But even if you want to say that I just couldn't hear that initially, that's why I thought it was fly, fly, fly. There's 5 flies now. So me and the other 3 people that made videos and the websites that talk about this misquote, we all missed 2 of the, we all got it wrong when we were saying that it had changed initially. And so that's mind blowing to me.
Now, I think that was something that you actually discussed the last time we were on the show. In fact, I asked you the same thing. When you go back through your archive of videos and the thumb up and the thumb down voting videos that you do, and of course, if you're just joining us, on the show notes link tonight, you can take part in a listener poll. If you click that, you'll see a link that allows you to vote on a few of these music examples, and I think Fly My Pretties Fly is one. So please register your vote so we can tally those results at the end. But when you were here, I asked you last time, do you notice these things have ever changed in your videos?
Yeah, and I didn't have an example to give you at that time. And then someone sent me an email and said, hey, you need to go back and look at your Fly My Pretties Fly video because it's now different. It now says, bring me that girl and her slippers. And then there's more, she says fly 2 more times. So that person had picked up on it, watching one of my old videos, or they had come across it, wherever they came across it, but they went and checked my old video. So they found an instance for you where. And then tonight, I just came out with a video tonight where it's sort of the similar thing going on. So I think that's more what we're going to have now is more of this.
My Life HC333 says, time flies when you're having fun with other Mandela-affected people, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Thanks for your ones in the chat room, everyone. Sherry S., Bleed the Same, Femi Nem, Guardian Matrix, Bubbles, Dark Wolf's Den, Ollier Greg, Captain Crazy Clown, System Failure. Boy, you've got 150 people chatting along with you tonight. This is wonderful that we can actually come together and do this. This is really fun, and we've got to move because time is going to go close. But no matter what, we're going to get through all of the ones that we wanted to go through tonight. That's for sure. So that. Again, The Wizard of Oz, iconic movie, another iconic movie, but more recently in time, is Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. Now set this clip up for us.
Okay, now this one here is huge. I've been hearing people say this nonstop ever since the movie came out. And they use an accent trying to imitate Tom Hanks as Forrest Gump. And, they say, Mama always said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Well, that's not what it is. And what it is now is past tense and then present tense. It's just, to me, it's inferior, but there's a hidden message in there. Life is no longer like a box of chocolates. So reality is changing and we're waking up. And we're finding out more about ourselves. And I think, there's messages like with this particular, I don't want to say change, but the fact that this is now different from how many of us remember it. I guess we'll put it that way.
It clearly was one of those pop culture sayings, movie sayings. There's no question about it. That's what I remember. Life is like a box of chocolates. Now, you have sent along residue on this that is from the actual directors of the film that are speaking about it in a documentary where they actually used a clip where Tom Hanks actually does deliver the line. And I think that's the clip we're going to listen to.
1985. And I fell in love with it. I read the first line. And the first line of the book is, being an idiot ain't no box of chocolates.
My mom always said that life is like a box of chocolates. That life is like a box of chocolates. That life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Now, that is exactly the way that I remember the clip to be. Life is like a box of chocolates, and he's chewing on that chocolate bar and says, you never know what you're going to get. And that's not what he says?
No, that's not how it is in the movie now. That was from a behind-the-scenes making of the movie. and it's a different camera angle. And he says is. So I believe, well, I don't believe, it was filmed as is, but that's not what it is now. Do you have the clip, or should I say what it is? Most people.
Yeah,
I think most people know.
I have the actual clip. Let's just listen to it together.
Okay.
Hello. My name's Forrest Gump. Do you want a chocolate? I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Now, come on. Let's hear just that part again.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolate. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Life was like a box of chocolates. That's what he says. But that's not what we remember.
No, not at all. And there's so much reality residue for that. I actually have, I think I sent you a clip of the screenwriter saying that he wrote Life is like a box of chocolates. He didn't write was, but it was filmed as was and is. And in this reality, was made it into the current reality. Sometimes it's hard to find words to discuss what's going on.
Well, you know what they say.
How it is now and always has been. It's always been was.
I think I found the words. Listen closely. This explains it all.
You never know what you're going to get.
You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's the way it is now.
Perhaps that's a telling foreshadow of the future in this script. Knowing that today in 2002, as we review this, we never know what we're going to get anymore today, because in some of your recent videos, and like you've just discussed, to your point, these videos can change.
Yeah.
Even when, so today, life was like a box of chocolates, but a year from now, it could be life never might be like chocolates, right?
Might be like chocolate. Imagine him saying that to the person on the bench. You know, my mom always said life might be like chocolate.
It's not funny to joke because, you know, I had a weird experience this morning. I woke up and I read a newspaper article that Mean Gene had passed away. Now, in my mind, okay, I remember him passing away like several years ago. And I remember like Randy Savage at his funeral. And I remember like Hulk Hogan was there. And I remember it was like, you know, I saw clips and photos of his funeral, and it was a long time ago. And then I started
10 or 15 years, right?
Right. It was like back in the late 90s, early 2000s that Mean Gene passed away, and that all these wrestlers showed up for his funeral. And then this morning I wake up and I see this news headline from January 2nd, 2002 that says Mean Gene passed away. And I'm like, now wait a second. And I did a little research, and then there I found residue that said he had passed away last year in January. So now I'm very confused, but I can't find any record of what I remember to be his passing. And I know as we cut to the break there, a lot of people in the chat room were talking about Betty White and talking about various figures like Mandela that have passed away multiple times.
Jim Neighbors was a big one for me. Gomer Pyle. I remember driving along in the car 20 years ago, and I have an anchor memory. Oh, Gomer Pyle's died. I mean, I just remember that. But he just died a few years ago.
This stuff is creepy. I'll tell you, it's terribly creepy. It's one of those things that sends shivers down my spine when I hit one of these moments. And of course, you know, tonight's topic, Mandela movie effect quotes. We should probably do an episode on passed away people, because I'm sure that one goes deep too. So this next clip, as we segue through the movies, of course, Forrest Gump has a few others in it, but I'd like to move out of Forrest Gump and continue forward into the next clips Just if we have time, we'll come back to the other two that are in Forrest Gump that you noted too. But let's move out of Forrest Gump and move into this one, because I'm dying to know what is actually the response here. And this is from the movie Silence of the Lambs. And you sent along the directors in an interview speaking about the line, "Hello, Clarice." So set this clip up for us. I remember "Hello, Clarice," and even till this show started this morning, this evening, I was really thinking, is this the line? Is this the line? And I'm so excited to find out that I'm right. That's what he says. "Hello, Clarice."
What do you mean? You're right.
Am I right?
Confused me.
See, I haven't listened to it.
No, you're not.
So
he
you're
never
saying...
says that in the movie. And I'm happy you said Silence of the Lambs, because that's how I remember the movie. It's actually called The Silence of the Lambs. The Silence of the Lambs. It's got two thes in the title. It's kind of redundant. But anyway, it was Silence of the Lambs for me. And when the young FBI agent in training comes up to the cell where Hannibal Lecter is, in a creepy voice, he says, "Hello, Clarice," which a lot of people say, well, how's he going to say hello, Clarice? He doesn't even know her yet. Well, he could ask one of the guards her name or something. That part doesn't matter, but that was the creepy thing. But now she walks up and he says something totally different. It's nothing like "Hello, Clarice."
Well, let's listen to the directors talk about Anthony Hopkins in this role.
We knew that Hopkins was an extraordinary actor, but we wondered if he would get Lecter.
First day on the set in the jail block, there had been no rehearsal, so we weren't prepared for the moment.
We rolled it, and he went, "Hello, Clarice," and we went, "Oh my God, he's got it."
Now, these are the actual directors of the film verifying what I remember to be true.
Or the editor, the guy who edited the film or whatever. He was right there. He recalls him saying "Hello, Clarice." You have the clip of Anthony, right?
Well, we're going to play it now. This is Anthony.
This is just mind-blowing that we can play these clips. We were just some jokers trying to put people on.
No.
We wouldn't have all these clips backing up what we're saying.
And that's the phenomenal part. That's what I keep coming back to, is it's one thing if we just had these clips and we say, well, I remember it this way and you remember it this way, but this is Anthony Hopkins and the way that he remembers it.
"Hello, Clarice. It's good to see you again."
I'm a monster.
You are not a monster.
Now, these are actual pop culture clips. Anthony Hopkins will be at the end of this loop.
"Hello, Clarice."
Hello, Clarice.
You killed your sister, Joe.
You make your brushes too juicy.
Hello, Clarice.
Ah! Oh, gross. Stop.
It's crazy how much Kyle stuff we have to throw away. Corporate really put their money.
Hello, Clarice.
Who's Clarice?
She is.
Who's Clarice? She is. Now, again, this is, I think there were 4 or 5 pop culture examples. And, of course, that's not at all what he said, according to you. And again, we'll go to this is the clip that I thought we were going to hear, but this is actually Anthony Hopkins speaking about his role in this particular movie and this particular line. This, if when I play the actual clip, Moneybags, and it is changed, I literally am going to poop my pants.
Yes, to play a man like that, to play him very sane, to play him really normal, and then let the audience do the work. So, hello, Clarice. It's not real FBI, is it? So, hello, Clarice. It's not real FBI, is it? So, hello, Clarice. It's not real FBI, is it? And let the audience do all the work for you. You don't have to play crazy.
Have you ever used that voice on the phone to get...
Anthony Hopkins.
Now, Anthony Hopkins himself delivering the line on a talk show, and you're telling me that's not what it is. I have not heard this one yet.
Didn't make it into this reality that we find ourselves in. But there is also an interview of Anthony Hopkins where he recalls the line the way it is. That's another bizarre part. There's a you can find interviews where he says that it was two different things, what we remember and what it is now. So that's, you don't have that clip here, but there's a clip of him saying what it is now and not the Hello Clarice line.
Unbelievable.
So that's just crazy on its own.
Now I'm excited, and if you haven't heard this and you're listening in chat or on demand, then you hopefully will hear the same thing that I do for the first time. Let's listen to what he actually says.
Good morning.
Dr. Lecter, my name is Clarice Starling. May I speak with you?
Wait a second. Hold on. I got to
That's
do
the big reveal.
I have to do this one more time. Are you kidding me? Hold on.
Good morning.
Dr. Lecter, my name is Clarice Starling.
Wait a second. Hold on. No way. Oh, you're telling me that the entire line has changed to just good morning?
Yeah, a real quick good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. And he explains why he said good morning in another interview. But that's for this reality. We all heard a creepy Hello Clarice that's mimicked in pop culture, in movies and television shows and everything since the 90s.
I am truly blown away. I thought maybe he would say, he doesn't even say Clarice.
No, nothing. Now, there is another part of the film where he says something similar, but he does not say hello, Clarice, any time in that film. Maybe in the part 2, the second film, maybe. Some people I heard mention, but not in that, the Silence of the Lambs. He does not say hello, Clarice, anywhere in that film.
Now, that is just downright spooky. Now, of course, we have to think about some theories here, and this is a good time to interject this because, again, you've blown my mind. I was not prepared for that. I really thought it was going to be something a little bit more elaborate than good morning. I purposely did not hear this on purpose so that I could wait and hear it live, and I'm shocked. I really am. I am. So let's talk for a moment or so just about what's going on here. Is it that I remember something that is no longer? Is it that what's going on? How do you explain this to people? Like what's your go-to explanation for a person that's in my condition right now?
For me, it's always been a consciousness shift. I was making videos in 2011 about the coming shift in humanity and in their consciousness. And I believe this is connected with that. But there's so many theories of what's going on. And at a quantum level, there's physicists that have done a good job explaining how this can happen on a quantum level. But there's so many different theories of what's going on. The religious community thinks it's Satan. And a lot of people are under the great delusion that's talked about in the Bible. There's so many different theories of what's going on. But leaving all the theories aside, what's happening is we're seeing something that happened. I guess if you believe in the multiverse, which I do, then a lot of quantum physicists believe that we have multiple universes and we're constantly sliding between all of them, and most of us never realized it. So it gets pretty technical and in-depth trying to look into this stuff. Now I've looked at simulation, holographic universe, all this. There's so much that comes up. The bottom line is that reality is not what we always thought it was, and we don't just live in some linear time. because time doesn't even exist. Everything is present now. Everything is, I don't want to say happening now, but everything exists at this moment, which is, you can't even really put your mind around. But that's what I believe. And I also believe that our thoughts and beliefs are creating our reality. And a lot of people have a hard time with that. I get lots of flack for saying that, but they're like, oh, well, if I created my reality, I have a big bank account and all this other stuff. Well, you don't have a big bank account because you don't believe you can have a big bank account. You don't believe, you have to be present and believe in these things. But anyway, I got off on a tangent, but that's because you can't really explain it. There's no one who has a good explanation, and that's what this community is such a great thing is for sticking together and having someone to talk to, because this is some heavy stuff, right? I mean, that's what you're talking about. This is heavy.
It really
is. A lot of
is.
us have no one to talk to.
Well, I'm glad that you're here talking to me about it, and I'm going to put you on hold. Believe it or not, we've gone through the first hour. We're coming up to the top of the hour. We're going to have to take a break. In just a few moments, we're going to open up those phone lines for your calls, give you a chance to call in live and speak to Moneybags here tonight. If you've got a question regarding the Mandela Effect movie quotes that we've gone through or whatnot, just a comment in general, you're going to be able to ask those and share those thoughts live on air. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more crazy Mandela effects, unbelievable Mandela effects like this one. If I can play that again, I'm just shocked he says good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Lecter, my name is Clarice Starling. May I speak with you?
Are you enjoying the show so far? Put a 1 in the chat room if you are. We're here every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evening live on the Rip and Rabbit Hole, bringing you the very best of paranormal topics such as the Mandela Effect. It's time now for us to open up the wild card line for you, giving you the opportunity to call us here live on the studio and interact with the show tonight. If you've got a question for Moneybag 73 or a comment about the Mandela Effect in general, now is your opportunity. The wild card line is open. So if you have the ability to call us here at the studio, you can do so now. Call 702-500-1658. That's area code 702-500-1658. If you get a busy signal, that means our trunk lines are full, and you're going to have to keep dialing to make your spot available. But seats will fill up fast, so I encourage you to start dialing that number now. Again, that number, 702-500-1658. I'm going to put that number up on the screen now. It'll remain there for the rest of the show. 702-500-1658. Just make sure when you call that you keep your radio down in the background. We don't want to hear the feedback when you're on air. So go ahead and call us. The lines are now open. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you visit tonight's poll. In the show notes listed below, you'll find a link over to the Rip and Rabbit Hole. And on that page, we have another link to our poll about these movie quotes. We're curious to hear what you have to say, and this is your way to take part anonymously. Cast your vote on what you feel the actual movie quotes themselves that we've got listed and showcased there are. Very simple. You just answer the questions and take the poll. The results are calculated live, and before the end of the show tonight, we're going to be going through those results. So now is a good time to do that. And if you can open it up in an ancillary browser so that you can continue to listen to the show, you can actually vote as we're going through some of these clips. Now, we haven't put all of them there. There's only a few there. But once you've cast your vote, you've done that. And as long as you're there, you might as well put your email address in that subscribe field and send us a request for our live update schedules that we send out every Thursday morning. And we're here every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evening, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. And again, my guest tonight, if you're just joining us, Moneybags73 is here. We're going through the Mandela effects. It's going to be very, very interesting as we begin to take your calls and comments on this subject. Now, again, Moneybags is going to be a regular. He's going to be here every month, the first weekend of the month. All the more reason why you want to get on that mailing list. That's for sure. And sometimes these breaks go by so fast, you barely have enough to refill your water to wet your whistle. Moneybags, are you ready for these calls?
Sure.
They lit up like a Christmas tree. There's several people in queue waiting to speak to you. So let's go ahead and let's see here. In the 208, go ahead, caller. You're on the air with Moneybags.
Hey, Rippin' Rabbit, how you doing? My name is Jerry, also known as Dark Wolf's Den.
Hey, Dark Wolf Den. Great to have you on the call tonight. Glad you're the first caller. How are you?
I am doing absolutely amazing. I appreciate it. Hey, Evan, how you doing, buddy?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. I really appreciate what you've done with that theory series. I've said it 100 times on my channel. You have got the best evidence pool I've ever found, the cleanest evidence pool I've ever found. For those who don't know, I do the theory series on my channel. And if you're interested in theories, you mentioned theories earlier, Rippin', you can go ahead and check that out, too.
Great.
I also did the Mandela Effect Conference this past year, the international conference, and we're working on another one of those for this year.
The International Mandela Conference. See, I learn something new every day. And Dark Wolf, you're turning me on to something here that I had no idea. Did you know about this, Moneybags? There's a conference, a Mandela conference?
Yes, I was actually invited to speak, and I wasn't able to go, but I'm currently listening to all the interviews, and it looked like it was a great conference that they had there.
Maybe we should do the show live from that conference the next time that they have it. Maybe we'll go and meet up there and do a live show from the conference. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah,
I think that'd be amazing. We had HBO show up last year.
Oh, that's great. Do you have a question or a comment, Dark Wolf?
I just wanted to say how much I appreciate what Moneybags does. And, you know, you guys get me through my Sunday nights. I'm at work right now, and my work nights are slow on Sundays. You guys really help me out having this show every week.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you're going to do it monthly now, but...
Thank you. Well, we're here every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, but Moneybags will be on every month, the first weekend of the month, and maybe Sunday night is the night. We haven't set the night. We originally talked about Saturday, and it jumped around, but maybe Sunday night for those of you that are working. But thank you, Dark Wolf. Our time is short, so do you have anything else you want to?
Calling in.
That's all I really had. My pleasure, Evan, and thank you, Rippin', and I look forward to the rest of the show. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
You know, it's great that you learn these types of things. I had no idea that there was a convention for this. On the wild card line, caller in the 678. Go ahead. You are on the air live with Moneybag73.
Hello. How are y'all doing tonight?
Wonderful. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. My name is Yvette. Grace Truth in chat. this Mandela effect thing hit me a few years back, and I didn't really know exactly what was going on with it. But when I did realize, it kind of, I think I speak for all when I say this, but it really threw me for a loop, not really understanding what it was. The biggest one that hit personally for me was the Chuck E. Cheese's and the Chuck E. Cheese. But
now,
really when
expand upon that a little bit. I'm not sure what you're speaking about. Maybe you are, Moneybags. Do you know?
Okay.
Yes. Well, the
All
Chuck
right.
E.
Well,
Cheese,
this is what happened to me. My kids are grown right now, but when they were little, I used to take them to Chuck E. Cheese all the time. So all of a sudden, I hear that it is Chuck E. Cheese's with an apostrophe S at the end, and I'm like, no, it's Chuck E. Cheese. I literally got in my car and drove to the Chuck E. Cheese that I had taken my kids to for years and years.
And verified.
Old raggedy sign, apostrophe S at the end. And I was like, oh, no way. Well, to me, it's almost like, to me, this one specifically is caught in between two realities, because if you go to Google this, you'll see both just flip, just back and forth. And
well, they're doing a rebranding
last year. Well, the thing is that just recently they've started doing renovations on a lot of their old stores. Well, when you see the new signs, it just says Chuck E. Cheese.
Crazy.
So, but they don't say, you know, within the new renovations, we're going to change it from Chuck E. Cheese's to Chuck E. Cheese. They just put up the new sign and it's Chuck E. Cheese.
Fantastic. Now,
it's the strangest thing to me.
It is the strangest thing. I agree with you, caller, when especially brands, especially known brands change. And that's something that we've talked about before. Now, Evan, do you have any thoughts on directly Chuck E. Cheese? Was this one that you were aware of?
Yeah, I've done more than one video on this. This hit me really strong. It was always Chuck E. Cheese my entire life, and then I saw it as Chuck E. Cheese's, and it looked really odd. And then I started seeing like the callers talking about how now they're opening new stores and doing remodelings, and they're putting Chuck E. Cheese like we all remember. I believe I saw somewhere where they did mention that it is a rebranding.
Interesting.
But it did change. You know, it was a Mandela effect, but now they're saying that, you know, now they're changing the name to what we always remember, which is really odd.
But
you know, in itself.
You know what? When I have found that if you will go and start, you'll go to Google and then hit image or images, and you start scrolling down, you'll see both all over the place.
Interesting.
That's another way that I see a lot of residual evidence is when you do that. For example, the headband on Richard Simmons. A really good friend of my daughter's, they did the Halloween costume this past Halloween a few months ago, and he dressed up like Richard Simmons, and she was dressed up like an 80s exercise girl or whatever, and he had the headband on. It was part of the costume. But if you go back to those old videos, which I used to exercise to, he doesn't have the headband on.
Now,
any of them. The whole thing is, go ahead.
What do you personally feel like in that moment when you experience that you know, some icon like Richard Simmons that you used to, you know, sweat to the oldies to, no longer looks the same as you remember?
That was another thing. The videos were called sweating or whatever, sweating to the oldies. So I think that just to make a point, he puts a sweatband on his head and on his wrist. So he was sweating to the oldies.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, so that's the thing. And if you Google the image, if you go to Google and you do the images, you'll see older pictures of him and newer pictures of him, you know, at his age now. None of them ever have the sweatband, but when you get to a costume, Halloween costume of dressing up like him, it will have the headband.
Fun stuff. A
was
weird
really
change.
Interesting. Yeah.
Thank you, caller. You know, that's part of one of the things that, you know, you just can't be prepared for, Moneybags, when something as iconic as that changes. Now, we were talking before we went to the break about the I can't even think of the name, The Silence of the Lambs, and I had quoted it as Silence of the Lambs. You corrected me. It's now The Silence of the Lambs. So we're going to go through the next clip with the next caller. I'd like to hear their opinion of this. This is the caller in the 337. You're on the air with Moneybags and the Rippin' Rabbit. Go ahead now.
Hi. Hey, my name's Sherry.
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
Hi, Sherry.
Now, you've been listening.
Hey,
you've been listening for the entire program so far, or are you just listening now?
Yes, I've been listening.
So have you heard, did you hear before we went to the break, did you hear the reference to Hello, Clarice?
Yes.
Now, were you aware that that had changed? Are you a Mandela connoisseur? Are you aware of these changes, or was that a new change for you?
I was aware of the change, and what's really cool is that this is going to give evidentiary support to what I'm about to say. It's that whenever I first found all of these changes, it was in September of 2015, which is like, you know, it seems that most people, if you ask them, it's going to be at March or September, like one of the equinoxes or a solstice or something like that. It's really weird. And it's I'm a Berenstein girl. That was the one that got me, the Berenstein Bears. But what I really wanted to say was this. When it started, I started realizing that these logos and stuff were changing. And I'm a big etymology person. And to know that the logos sounded like the logos, I felt like I was so afraid. I felt like maybe these businesses were doing like rituals and bringing, you know, like to bring down this, like kind of like we'll do this change. And if we prosper, you know, kind of something like this. I felt there was something nefarious to it, and I was so scared. And I found Moneybags' channel, and he had a video on there that was like about human evolution. It almost sounded channeled. It was so beautiful. And I started to realize that, no, this is showing me that the universe is like malleable. And then I found the group of people, loving people at Unbiased and On the Fence, and I started to realize, oh my gosh, this is like all about perspective. You know, I need to choose the universe is malleable and it can work for me and my benefit. And it's like, and the world's benefit. And it's like, since then I have so many synchronicities and changes. I feel like I'm living in a fairy tale, and I can make things work just like I want them to. And for instance, I had just told, this is some proof, I told Dark Wolf in your chat room back a little bit how much these sheep synchronicities that I had in Ketchum at the Mandela Effect conference. And see, now you're bringing that Silence of the Lambs to me. So it just goes on and on and on, the magic that this universe can bring to you. But you have to, you can choose fear or love. And I choose to choose love.
Very well said. Very well said. Yep, I agree with you 100%.
And it can get really scary. And the last thing I want to say is this, and y'all are going to really love this. Okay. On Vanessa VA that's a channel, Vanessa VA.
Yes.
She has a video. It's a Tesla video. The last 10 minutes, very quickly, she's got a graph on there. And it starts like at the bottom, the unaffected, and then the Mandela affected. And then there's this little area called the targeted individual and fear and horror area, okay? And as your frequency raises and that you become, you know, more tapped into this in a positive and loving way, it's amazing how you go through it and you can look at people and kind of see where they're at on this. And I really do think that has to do with like an ascension type progression. And that's really all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you.
And Moneybags, thank you for being there for me, because I went through a fearful time and you were the one that gave me the catalyst to make it become positive. Thank you so much. I'll love you forever for that.
You're welcome. I'm happy I was able to be there for you.
Thank you, caller.
Thanks.
It's really amazing to hear, you know, that kind of inspiration, especially when it comes from the fear factor. And that's not something that I've necessarily experienced yet, although it came darn close with Cuba. Cuba really spooked me out. And again, you know, these Mandela movie clips kind of spooked me out too, especially when we're talking about, you know, the silence of the lambs. I mean, when I was growing up, I was about 16 years old when that movie first came out, and I was frightened. Now, you tell me that the Hello Clarice is not the only Mandela change to have happened to that movie. In fact, you sent Residue Lotion about the very famous lotion line, Residue Lotion. What, you want to set that clip up?
Yeah, there's a scene where there's a woman down a well inside of the house of Buffalo Bill, and he says a famous quote that's been parodied and Eminem made a song about, and
we're going to hear that
references.
We're going to hear the Eminem song, and all of here's the residue from the lotion.
Okay.
Go ahead. Did you want to add to a point?
No, I think that's a good place to start, because this has two changes in this quote, actually.
Well, let's listen to the residue that exists.
Puts the lotion on its skin, it does as it's told.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Gets the hose again.
Puts the lotion in the bucket. It puts the lotion on the skin. Or else it gets the hose again. She puts the lotion in the bucket. It puts the lotion on the skin. Or else it gets the hose again.
Puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Oh, Meg, thank God I found you. It puts lotion on its skin.
It puts the lotion on the skin. I mean, people are even writing songs about this line. Now, you're telling me he doesn't say that?
No, he doesn't say it puts the lotion on its skin. And he also doesn't say it puts the lotion in the basket, because he puts down a basket on a rope and says, put the lotion in the basket.
Well, we're going to deal with the basket.
It puts the lotion in the basket.
We'll deal with the basket second. But first, I haven't heard this yet, so this is going to be another one of those mind-boggling ones. I can't wait to hear what is actually said. This is from the movie Silence of the Lambs. It's the actual line that Moneybags is speaking of, where the girl is down in the hole, and he says this.
It rubs the lotion on its skin. It does this whenever it's told.
What? Now, come on. It rubs the lotion. Are you kidding me?
It rubs the lotion on its skin. It does this whenever it's told.
Mister, my family will pay cash. Whatever ransom you're asking for, they'll pay it.
It rubs the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
Now that is just the little dog barking in the background. It rubs. It
rubs the lotion.
That doesn't even make sense.
Well, I kind of does. I mean.
Well, I guess, yeah, it rubs. No, but not from what my mind remembers.
It's such a weird thing to say to somebody. You know, talking. It puts the lotion on its skin. Talking to someone saying, "Hey, put that lotion on your skin." It's just a weird thing to say.
It sure is.
It stands out in your mind as a weird thing.
We're going to deal with the the next one with the lotion in the we're going to tell you.
Okay, no, wait. Before we go, so the other line was, it puts the lotion in the basket. So both lines were puts, but now you're going to hear something that's not puts and not rubs. You hear a new word now.
All right, let's hear it. This is weird.
Now it places the lotion in the basket.
No way. It places again?
You might want.
Now it places the lotion in the basket. It places the lotion in the basket.
Now, see, in my mind's eye, Moneybags, what I remember is, I very distinctly remember this line. He said, it's in my reality, he said, it will put the lotion in the bucket. It will put the lotion in the bucket. I remember bucket.
Right when you said bucket, I had an image of a bucket in the scene in my mind. That's weird.
That is so bizarre. Oh, my goodness.
One version of me may have seen a bucket.
Yeah, well, that's what I remember. It will put the lotion in the bucket. I don't remember any places or any of this pop nonsense.
Placing the lotion.
Right. Let's go to the wild card line with caller 514. Hello, you're on the air. Thank you for waiting. You've been patient. Caller 514. Hi. How are you?
My name is Actarus777.
Okay.
And I'm on the channel also subscribed with Moneybag. So it's been a while since I'm looking at what you're doing, Moneybag.
Okay.
Okay.
For me, in 2015, I think what hit me the most in the quotes of the movie was Luke, I'm your father. That changed. And,
yeah, that's a big one for a lot of people.
I remembered when we were talking about CERN. At one time, CERN put a video with a guy with a big chart on it, written Bond, Mandela. And the big thing that hit me when I was looking at the movie Moonraker, the girl without the braces. Have you noticed that?
AJ, are you aware of that?
I heard something that you had mentioned in one of our off-air conversations, but I don't know the details of it.
Yeah, that's a huge Mandela effect. The fact the girl doesn't have braces on, and the scene doesn't make any sense.
Interesting. Now, the caller brings up a very good point. He's actually speaking about, multiple aspects of the Mandela effect that have triggered him in unique ways. Now, caller, I'd like to know, were you able to vote on these movie clips tonight? Did you remember Luke, I Am Your Father?
I couldn't because I'm watching on my PS3. I should be on the internet to do that, but I'm looking right now at what is written, but I didn't vote. If I vote, it would be Luke, I'm Your Father. That's for sure.
Okay, so that's what you remember.
And even there's another movie, E.T. E.T. used to say E.T. phone home. Now he says E.T. home phone.
Home phone, right? Yeah, we
Yeah,
were going
you
to
can check
discuss
that.
that.
You will.
Maybe later, if we have time in the show, we're going to discuss that because the clip from the actual movie. What do you think about the kids where they both repeat E.T. phone home, where Drew Barrymore says E.T. phone home? What do you think's going on there?
It should be E.T. phone home, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I remember it to be, and let's listen to the clip.
Phone? He said phone? He said phone? Can't you understand English? He said phone.
Home?
You're right. That's E.T.'s home.
E.T. home phone.
E.T. home phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the twilight zone.
Crazy, huh?
Yes, caller, I agree with you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I know that was one that Moneybags wanted to cover tonight, and I didn't even listen to it. He asked me right before we went live. Now, E.T. home phone? No. Come on.
Can you play a little bit more of the clip? Because now the kids say it correctly.
All right, let's hear the kids.
E.T. phone home. E.T. phone home. E.T. phone home. What's the call?
Now, that is just so weird to see Drew Barrymore as a little girl. But, no, this is bizarre stuff. I agree with you, caller. We're living in the Twilight Zone now. This is clearly the case.
Anyway, for me, the big hit started with the Mandela effect with I think it's Dolly, the name of the girl without braces in the movie Moonraker. Mm-hmm. And then Luke Skywalker and his father, Darth Vader, say, Luke, I'm your father. It's no, I'm your father now. And there's so many others that... I was with some friends because I'm living in Montreal, and one of my friends has VHS tapes. And one night I said, can you get out the tapes of the movie Moonraker? We checked it, and I asked him. I even filmed everything with my phone when we were watching the movie. And they told me, I asked, do you remember her with braces? And he says, yes, I'm a big fan of Bond's movie. I know she's got braces. We watched the movie, and then he was like, it's crazy. She doesn't have braces anymore. And we watched after that the movie The Empire Strikes Back, and we watched the scene with Darth Vader, and he says he's supposed to be saying, Luke, I'm your father. And we were like, they were stunned. They couldn't believe it. So there's really something going on, and there's not only quotes in the movie, which it's also like the Ford logo and everything else. That's the guys from Monopoly without the monocles and everything. I'm sure that a lot of people notice them, and we are not alone, and it's crazy.
That we are. Thanks so much, caller. I appreciate your comments this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Sorry
for calling
my
in.
accent.
No worries. Your accent is fine. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Thank you. We appreciate your call.
Well, thanks, man.
So, caller in the 949, we're going to get through a couple of these calls here quick, Moneybags. Caller in the 949, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, am I on the air?
Yes, you are. Thank you for your wait.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was waiting for a beep. Hi, I'm Elisa V.
Hey.
So I wanted to kind of share a Christian perspective, if I could.
Please.
Okay, I'm a little bit nervous too, just as I'm sharing something that's important to me. So
sure.
Sorry if
Take
I
your time.
Oh, it's just really important to me. So hold on. Okay, so I was getting ready for this while I was waiting. So I actually my daughter found some scripture change proof recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to share that because I know some people have commented about different scripture changes. Okay, so this one actually was one that I think a lot of Christians didn't, or kind of even argued. Okay, so this one's like a rare one. It's John 14:6. Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
Okay.
And me and my kids always remembered that line saying, and the light. But even Christians have argued this one. So, but what I wanted to share was I was so excited, like finally just recently my daughter found evidence that was like legit, like, and if I could just tell you what that is.
Sure.
We found it on YouTube because my daughter likes the song from VeggieTales. I don't know if you're familiar with VeggieTales.
I am.
But okay. So, yeah, they are really careful, I would think, about how they share scripture and things like that. So we found, it's on YouTube, it's called VeggieTales Hope Song. And I think it's from their Easter movie that they had. And, an Easter Carol. So in that movie, it when she sings a particular song called Hope Song, she actually says in in the song that he said, she actually quoted, he said, referring to Jesus, that he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the light." So I was like, yay!
You finally got some validation.
Yeah, it was so, because that one was a really hard one for me, because even Christians have argued me about that one, even my family members. But me and my kids were like, no, I remember the light. So I wanted to bring that up. And then if I can share just real quick, secondly, just, as a Christian, I think it's hard because we can't, really go talk to our pastors about it, or, what's going on? No one really wants to say anything. And so that's why I thought I should share this for those, considering that side of things. Can I share a Christian scripture, if that's okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is this one helped me a lot. It's Daniel 7:25, and this is, I believe, it's referring to the Antichrist and end time, type of stuff. And I'm reading King James. It says, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time." That one helped me, but I cannot give you an explanation. But that one helped me. I was like, okay, it's getting weird out there, and this one kind of helped me. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. And, I'm like a major believer in the Mandela effect.
Unbelievable. Moneybags, any comments on that?
I did a video a few years ago on Bible changes, and I believe that's in my video. I don't recall, but it was always light for me as well.
Oh, cool. Well, you found the video?
Sound right. Yeah, I have a video on my channel, and it was hard to find reality residue, like you're mentioning. It wasn't easy to find examples of light, but it was always light for me. Life sounds foreign.
Yeah, same. And there's a lot of Christians and pastors, and I hear that, quoted all the time, and I kind of cringe. And I don't want to be cringing about scripture. Yeah. So it's upsetting. But I appreciate you saying that, because I didn't know if you found that. But I have followed you for quite a long time too, Moneybags. So I appreciate you and sharing and everything. And you're always so joyful. So I'm always happy to see a new video.
I always try to keep it positive, because so many people, they have a tendency of leaning towards the negativity and the fear, which I don't think is going to help any of us in any way. So I always try to keep it on a positive note.
Yeah, I get excited, but I'm also like what the script I just read. I also kind of see there's a negative thing that's going on though, but I do kind of get excited. I mean, it's interesting.
I appreciate that you brought that particular aspect to the program, and thank you for your call. I appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
For calling.
You're welcome. And Moneybags, perhaps what we'll do is a show dealing with these Bible verse changes. That maybe now that you're coming on monthly, we have so many.
We need to invite someone on for that show. I'm not a Bible expert. I did, when I was 33 years old, read the King James Version from cover to cover. It was almost 1,200 pages.
My
goodness. I'm not someone who just kind of heard things here or there. I'm not, religious, but I believe the Bible's a very important book. So, I believe what's happening is biblical as well. But I have a little different spin and take on things than some of the other people in the religious Christian community. Some of them don't like my take on it, but whatever. Everyone's got their own opinion.
You can still get on the wild card line at 702-500-1658. That's not the only way to interact with us. We're also live on both Moneybag 73 channel and the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Shout out to Sherry S. and Grenoff, Truth on the Wind, and Overprotected 222, as well as Noise Guru, Guardian Matrix, and let's see, looks like My Life HC33 over there on Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Thank you for listening, BB Truth Life, Connie Tan, The Swedes, D Spot 3, West Cleveland Original, and Crazy Cajun, just to name a few, over there on Moneybags' channel. Going back to the wild card line in the 218, you've been waiting almost a half an hour. You are now on air. Do you have a question for Moneybags?
Hello. Hey, Moneybags, I just want to say you're running a great channel. I love all the voting that you do. All the stuff's really right on. It just blows me away. One of those really poignant for me, talking about the silence of the lambs. Now, going back to Buffalo Bill, I was studying psychology, and I always found it that scene was really poignant to me because he detached himself from he was treating her as an object. So it puts the lotion on its skin, and it puts the lotion in the basket, or the I think he said bucket. I remember both, but still, it rubs it rubs the lotion on its skin. To me, that's he's being nice to her. He's not going to be nice to her. It ruins the whole movie. So that was my only comment on that. I just wanted to say that I waited the whole time for that. I know you guys have talked about several other things, and the Bible changes. Those are incredible. There's so many of them. I can't even begin. But for me, I saw The Empire Strikes Back in the theater as a child, and I know he said, "Luke, I am your father." So I'm going to leave with that. You have a great one. Love your show. Thank you, and
thanks a lot.
Peace and love.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you so much, caller. On the wild card line in the 330, you're on the air with Moneybag 73. Go ahead.
Is that me?
Yes, that is.
Oh my God, that's cool. No, dude. I mean, the chick on the line earlier with about the Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say it for you. I'm sorry, I can't say it, but Chuck E. Cheese pizza, where a kid could be a kid. That was on the commercial.
You're right.
That's not on the sign. It's not on the sign. It's Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
Where a kid can be a kid.
Where a kid can be a kid. I mean, if you sing the song, if you sing their theme song, sorry, if you sing their theme song is Chuck E. Cheese pizza, where a kid can be a kid, that's where the Chuck E's comes in.
Very interesting.
But on the sign is Chuck E. Cheese pizza. It's not Chuck E's cheese pizza. Okay? Oh my God, Star Wars. Oh my God. You talk about an avid watcher of Star Wars, dude. I've been to every Star Wars movie.
Now, were you aware of that line before we played it tonight? Were you familiar with this Mandela effect about Luke, I am your father?
Oh yes, very, very well, very well.
It really is quite remarkable when you start to think about these changes.
Dude, it's life changing, isn't it?
Yes, it sure is. And I'm glad that Moneybags makes himself available for this program to reach out to us and talk with us about these types of subjects. And I'm glad that there's an outlet for you to call in. So do you have another question in particular, or was that your comment?
No, it's just you guys are doing a great job. I really enjoy it. And keep up the good work, man. I mean, it's just really cool. Really cool.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Enjoy the rest of the program.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's fun.
I'd like to
go ahead.
I'd like to say that he mentioned life changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good way to put it, because it is. There's no going back. Once you're awakened to the fact that reality wasn't what you thought it always was, it changes your life.
It sure does.
So that's what we're dealing with here.
And you were on the couch for days.
I got hit really hard. I couldn't figure out what was happening. I talking about staying away from the fear, I didn't want to lean that direction, but man, it was kind of scary. I got to admit, the first few days being hit by this, March 2016. Now, one caller said that it hit him in September 2015. That's a really important date because I had done a video about the 4 blood moons that all fell on Jewish holy days that happened between 2014 and 2015, the final blood moon. And this has only happened, hasn't happened in 600, I don't know. I don't remember the particular information about it, but it hadn't happened in a long time.
Wow.
And on the 4th blood moon was on September of 2015, when a lot of people first started waking up to the Mandela effect. And I had done a video about the coming shift in human consciousness and how it's connected to the 4 blood moons. And boom, people's consciousness seemed to shift in September 2015 when, right along with my videos. It was crazy.
That is absolutely crazy that, the time that we experienced that. And in an earlier episode last week, we did a show on time acceleration. And we heard Dr. Michio Kaku talk about how the universe is expanding. And since 2012, which is about the time that the Mandela effect really became popular, since 2012, the universe has been expanding at an accelerated rate of speed, something to the tune of like 30% accelerated rate of speed. So some of these effects that we're feeling in time moving such faster could be due to the expansion of our universe. Now, he also goes on to say that that expansion could open up the doorway to parallel universes. So this is a nuclear science physicist that understands deep space, making the statement that perhaps that kind of acceleration could open up parallel universes. So that's an option here too, as far as theories go.
Yes, yep, I agree with that. Maybe that's what's going on, because there's definitely an aspect of the time that's sped up. I continuously being mind blown by how fast time's going, and I know that this is all connected.
It really does go so fast. Caller in the 714 on the wild card line. 714, go ahead. You're on the air with Moneybag 73.
Hello, great. I'm glad I got through.
I'm glad you did too. Thanks for waiting.
This is Jacobian.
Hi, Jacobian.
And I've been a long time listener to Evan's channel. And I think it's so amazing that we do have these actors. I think it's so amazing we have these actors that are reciting the lines as we remember them. And you guys have really even only just touched it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's still so many. It happens over and over again. And not just with the actors, with the musicians. You'll find the musicians having obscure live performances where they're still singing the songs just as we remember them.
Right. We did
so that to me,
we did an earlier episode. Moneybags and I did a actual show on Mandela music effect changes. I don't know if you watched that. You can go back in the archives and see it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I'm a longtime follower of the effect. Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag. I might be talking over you at parts. I'm sorry. But yeah, I've just been a longtime follower of the effect. But one thing I have to ask Evan, seeing as he's one of the larger channels, if not the largest channel about the Mandela effect, is if because I've always wondered, I just wanted to ask these celebrity types, to account for the discrepancy. Like, what is their memory of their own song? What is their memory of the own movie that they're in? Like, to really, have follow-up questions on it, to have access to them and get it like an in-depth interview. But of course, there are celebrities that would be very difficult to get a hold of. So I've wondered if Evan's ever thought about or considered just organizing, his numbers and just have everyone in mass kind of message these celebrities and get some kind of feedback from them, get some kind of answer from them.
Yeah, that might be something we can try and do. I've often wanted to do that myself. There was
Because
Panic at the Disco, you know that he came out and said that it was a Bernstein type thing, that his song had changed.
Yes.
But there's
Yeah,
not a
a
lot
couple
of
have been asked
acknowledgement
directly
from
about it. Yes.
artists.
But you know what they do? They always answer it like in a shticky kind of way. They always make light of it. They don't take it seriously. And so you'll have ones like with, like with Val Kilmer in Tombstone, where he directly said
caller, if you have somebody in particular that you could suggest in this moment, that would be a perfect soundbite for me to reach out to that particular person.
Okay. Oh, I'd love to. Great. Awesome. Great opportunity. So I did a video on Val Kilmer on Tombstone, and this is like he's not ambiguous in any way. He states definitively that he said in the movie Tombstone that he says both ways, I'll be your Huckleberry and I'm your Huckleberry. And for me, as a fan of that movie, I've always remembered it as I'll be your Huckleberry. But he doesn't say it at any point in the film. But he signs autographs that way. He's posted artwork that way. And a fan pressed him on it on his official Twitter account. A fan said, Mr. Kilmer, why is the quote wrong? Because he posted, I'll be your Huckleberry, the old way. And then Mr. Kilmer replied, he said, oh, I say it 2 times in the film. I say it both ways. I'll be your Huckleberry and I'm your Huckleberry. But check any copy of the movie, check those 2 points in that film, and he never says it that way at all. So it'd be fascinating to hear him say that, to address that discrepancy. And not only that, his co-star in that scene as well, Michael Biehn, who played Johnny Ringo, he's at a comic book convention and he recounts his favorite movie and his favorite moment in his career, which happens to be in Tombstone, in that scene, that specific scene. And he talks about, he's recounting, him and Val Kilmer rehearsing it. And he says, I'll be your Huckleberry. He's saying it, he as well is saying it the old way. But it's quite fascinating. So to get a hold of either one of those guys, they're both still around, they're not like Roy Scheider who's dead.
Or is he?
Great to hear.
Or is he?
A follow-up from them. Yeah, that's true. He can come back at any time. Very true.
Right. Well, caller, I appreciate the soundbite, and I'm going to use that. I am going to reach out to Val Kilmer, and then perhaps, that's some of the exciting stuff that we've been discussing here that we're looking forward to doing in 2020. Things that we will have,
exactly
this type of an
because
ability
right now
to do.
Right now, we're all just kind of twiddling our thumbs, looking at new effects. We're not really pressing the matter and really trying to get answers. And I think we should do that. We've got the numbers now. I think we can get access to these people and do it in a polite way, of course. Don't harass them about it. But I think if enough of us ask, we won't get lost in the flood of their regular fan mail. You know what I mean?
No, I get it. And perhaps, we can even target a hashtag campaign that will spark that. But I do appreciate the suggestion.
I think that'd be awesome, the next step. But yeah, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Hey, thank you so much for calling.
Yeah, Jacobian. I've seen you've been following the channel for a long time, so thanks for that.
Going to the wild card line with a caller in the 209. Go ahead. You are on the air with Moneybag 73. Thanks for your wait.
Hey, thank you for having me on. My name is Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
Hey, Anthony.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you just fine.
All right, cool. Just wanted to let you know I've been a follower for you guys for quite a while now. Looks like 3-4 years ago. I went back straight when my first videos, and it just so happened to be the JFK assassination. So let me take you back to I think it was 2016. I was in high school, and it was in my science class. It was a forensics class that we had in the library, where we went over to see if it was possible to shoot him from the building that the shooter was in. And we did a 3D model on a projector screen with the shooter's point of view. And I volunteered to be one of the shooters. We had like a little toy gun with a laser to see if it was actually possible to fire off the 3 shots at him. And then I remember 4 people in the vehicle, not 6.
Now, was this in Dallas that you did this?
No. I'm in California.
Got it. Okay. And
it was just a forensics class in high school in science.
And in the scenario, in the mock scenario that you did, you had 4 people in the vehicle.
I was literally, very close up. It was like looking through the scope of the shooter's perspective.
Wow.
And there were 4 people in the car. Not only this, we went into a separate room, right? And we did the actual forensics of like where the shot would have gone through. And, we lined up the chairs in groups of 2, only 4. 4 people per group. Why? Because there were 4 people in the car.
Interesting
And we placed stickers on where it went through and the bullet trajectory, and there was only 2 people.
That's nuts.
On each side of the car. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. It does in my memory, and I know, Evan, you've had
right. I know what you mean.
So does it make sense? No, it doesn't. But yes, it does.
No, right. No, it's just mind blowing because there was no glass window. There was no second group of people. There weren't 6 in my memory. This was I'd have been a little after, I don't know, the blood moons you guys were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I believe so.
Now,
January
did the Zapruder film change for you? Do you remember it in color? Do you remember it as clear as it is when you first saw it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So the whole film is different, not just the number of people in the car.
Even
right?
his science experiment changed, or even his, rendering changed. I mean, in regards to the way that history is today.
And when I saw this, I was watching the video shaking so bad because this was like 3 years ago. So this was fresh in my mind. This just happened. This was right after that experiment happened. And then maybe a couple of months later, I come upon that video. I was shaking so bad because I remember 4 people, not 6.
That's crazy.
I literally was in the shooter point of view, pointing the gun at them, trying to shoot literally JFK in the head. There was 4 people.
Unreal.
It was unreal.
We could probably do a whole episode on just that particular Mandela effect alone. But, it's very interesting. Now, when were you a high school student? What year was this when you did this?
Had to have been, maybe it was the end of 2016. No.
Yeah, it was just recently. He's saying that it changed like right after he did it.
That's so bizarre. But that's the
thing.
No,
it did. I kid you not. It had to have been in a matter of 3 months. I fell upon that video, and it changed.
Jeez.
That's why I was shaking so bad, because I remember 4 people in the car setting up the chairs, one sitting in front of me. I was JFK, and then I believe it was the mayor sitting in front of him. That was it. There was no second group beyond that.
Unreal.
Yeah, I remember the governor in the front seat next to the driver.
And then his wife, and JFK. That was it.
There was only one woman.
That was it.
That's the thing for me. There was only one woman in the car.
It was Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the truth on the wind in the chat room says if you watch that film, it looks like Jackie grabs the gun, and JFK is struggling with. And, there's a bunch of theories, okay? So the JFK assassination by itself is a conspiracy field day. Now, when you add these changes to it, and the things like the Ford Motor Museum, didn't you say, Moneybags, that the Ford Motor Museum actually has a replica of the car, and the car is not the same that's in the film?
Right. Yeah, there's a museum with a 4-seater car replica. And then I know that there was a reenactment done by the CIA, I believe, one government agency, and they did the reenactment with 4 people in the car.
Wow. Caller, thanks for your comment tonight. Wow. I appreciate you calling in with this. We're going to probably focus more on, these types of effects. We've got, 12 episodes in the next year to cover this stuff, and every month we'll be bringing it up to date. So thank you for bringing this information forward.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Absolutely. By the way, it was Jiffy peanut butter as well. Just letting you know.
He was jiffy for you too.
100%.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, caller. You know, these people that call in are absolutely fantastic, and they're so patient as they're waiting. Caller in the 970. Thank you for your wait time. You're on the air with Moneybags and Rippin' Rabbit.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Real good. How about you?
Good.
I'm doing well. Finally, I guess it'd be the first time I've ever really been on a radio show or talked to anybody live, but I just wanted to say that I am a longtime fan of Moneybags, and
thank you for that.
I've had a couple of chances. Yeah, great. I've had a couple of chances to come across some residue. One that really got me was the Apollo 13, I guess it was, when they ran into trouble, and everybody, remembers the Houston, we have a problem, and I guess that might have changed to Houston, we had a problem, or we have a problem.
Interesting.
I just did a video on that tonight. Did you happen to see that?
No, I didn't.
Check my channel. I just did a video on that. Most people remember Houston, we have a problem. It's Houston, we've had a problem, HAD. But now I just found a movie from 1974 and a reenactment from NASA in 1970 where they quote, Houston, we've got a problem. It's like a whole new quote just popped up out of nowhere. So check my video from tonight. You'd probably be interested in that one.
Okay, yeah. Sounds like it's flip-flopping or something. Because I remember there was a commercial for a virtual reality goggles or application or something a year or so ago that had both quotes in the commercial. It was actually the one of the astronauts that was in the Apollo, and he was talking about how he wanted to set foot on the moon, but he never got a chance to, and how now with these virtual reality goggles, he had a chance to finally step on the moon. And in that, they actually have both quotes in the commercial as if it's coming from them. Houston, we have a problem, and Houston, we've had a problem. So that was just really kind of mind-bending to me that they would use both quotes in that commercial.
Very mind-bending.
Yeah, and that
makes sense.
One of the
That's
other
what we're
things,
finding, right? Like with the new Tom Hanks movie with Mr. Rogers. He sings, "It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood" coming through the door, which is incorrect to many of us, but correct for this timeline.
Right.
But at the end of the movie, people on the train or on the subway, they all sing "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood." So they have it both ways in that movie, like the commercial you're talking about.
Yeah, it's crazy how people remember it, and things will play it the way that we remember it, but then they're somehow standing by the new and improved version.
The new and improved version is very scary. Caller, I appreciate your call tonight. Thank you for calling in, and stay in tune with us and join us monthly.
Yeah,
as
thanks
we're
for
here
joining
the
us
first
tonight.
week.
I will. I'll check out that new upload of yours. Thanks again.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much. The calls just don't stop, Moneybags. We're going to get back to the calls in just a moment. Caller 786 is up next. But since tonight's theme is the Wire or movie quotes, we have several, like Wire Mommy Dearest and the Wire Hangers, and we have a few more to get through. But let's see if we can answer some of these calls that are on the line, and then we'll get back to finishing up with our movie quotes. Are you fair with that? I mean, some of these people have been holding on the line for like 21 minutes. So
Sure, yeah. I do have maybe like 5 or 6 that you don't aware of, and I didn't send you, that I'd like to just, shoot off. There's no videos or nothing.
At the end of the show, we'll do a shoot-off moment. But okay. We're going into our third hour here with the caller 786, who's been waiting patiently for over 22 minutes now on air with Moneybags and Rippin' Rabbit. 786, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? This is Buddha Concepcion.
Hi, Buddha. How are you?
Hi, Buddha. Welcome.
Hey, I don't know. Is Moneybag? Remember, I'm the guy who found the old world on the car, on the emblem on the front of the car.
Oh yeah, I put you in the little video, a clip of you walking up to that car. That was in where was that in? Puerto Rico or something?
Yeah, I'm from Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
I'm
I
in
remember,
Miami right now. I got two things. One of them is it used to be that I used to see my name on the movies every time I used to see a Stephen King movie, and now the Stephen King has changed, and now my name. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, what do you mean Stephen King has changed? This is new to me. What do you mean Stephen King is no longer Stephen King?
How you spell Stephen King?
StephenKing.
He used to be Steven. That's how I remember, and that's how my name is spelled. And it's so bad when it happened. I went back and looked at my ID because I said, man, my name, they named me after him because my old girl used to like look at his books and read all his books. So I'm looking at my ID like, man, my name's about to change, but my name stayed the same. But it's like that was a good one for me though. That was a bad one.
Wow.
Another one.
You bring. Okay, go ahead.
All right. I got a quote. What did the big bad wolf say to the three little pigs?
I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down.
Yeah, right.
That's what I remember.
All right. That's what I remember. Now he don't say that. Now he says, I'll blow your house in.
What?
In. Yeah, it's in, AJ.
Yeah.
No, come on.
Yeah.
Now you're going to force me to look this up again. Now I'm going to Google. All right, Google, tell me, what does the big bad wolf say? Big bad wolf, huff and puff. This is nuts. I mean, this kind of stuff really trips me out.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many.
Huff and a puff and I'll blow your house in. That's what it says.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Sounds crazy, right?
The big bad wolf comes and says, little pig, let me come in. Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. No, it was I'll blow your house down.
Yeah,
doesn't even make sense.
It rhymes, so it sounds better. So that's why they changed it.
That's crazy.
No, I agree with you. It was always down for me.
Caller, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, have a good night, man.
You too.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, that huff and puff and I'll blow your house in. I can't even, this doesn't make sense.
It's not registering right now.
No, it really doesn't. And again, I know that we pay attention to the people here on the calls that call in on the 702-500-1658 number. And unfortunately, that keeps us distracted with the conversations we're having, and we don't get to shout out to you in chat, that even though you should all give yourselves a big round of applause for being smart enough to be here. John Philip II, The Quantum Effect Residue, Sarah Garibay, Robbie, Sky, Killer, Jeffrey, Quiznos, and all 199 of you in Moneybags channel, and on Rippin' Rabbit Hole, Truth on the Wind, Earth Daughter, and of course Bleed the Same. Now, a lot of times, Moneybags, these shows go by like that, and tonight I kept this open so that we don't have an end time tonight. Isn't that fun? We can get through everything that we wanted to talk about And speaking of that, we have to get through this call here. The 219 on the wild card line. Go ahead. You're on the air with Moneybags and the Rippin' Rabbit.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, it's not a movie, but the Lindbergh baby. When I was growing up, my grandma would talk about it, my great-grandma, and she would say that they never found the baby, and, it was a tragedy. And then this year, or maybe last year, I saw that they caught the guy. They found the baby. It was dead. That blew my mind.
Yeah, that's a big Mandela effect for a lot of people. I've heard that one talked about since 2016. Personally, I didn't really know that story, so that's not one for me, but I know that's a big Mandela effect for a lot of people.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that
I just want to
either.
say you guys are it's a great show tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We really do appreciate that. Thank you, caller in the 219. Caller in the 603, you're on the wild card line with Moneybags and Rippin' Rabbit. Go ahead. 603, going once, going twice, and we're gone in the 603. So, Moneybags, there's a famous line from the movie Mommy Dearest, where she speaks about wire hangers. And this is another one that I didn't listen to the end result clip. Now, I recorded these clips, but I turned my mute on my microphone and on my headphones so that I wouldn't hear what the actual clip is, except for the ones I knew. Now, Why don't you set up Mommy Dearest? Because this is, again, another prime example of residual that exists in today's world.
Yeah, no, this one has some really good residual evidence or reality residue. This is not a huge Mandela effect for me. I do recall hearing the quote, and I did a voting video on this a couple of years ago, I believe. 520 thumbs up to 80 down. So 520 recall a quote that doesn't exist anymore, and 80 recall it the way it is now. So a lot of people agree this is a Mandela effect. Now, the quote, are you going to be playing the original film or the reality residue?
I am going to play the reality residue that you had shared.
Okay,
and then I've got the actual line too.
Okay, so the reality residue is going to reflect a quote that people remember from Mommy Dearest saying,
this is actually
no more wire hangers.
And this is actually one of the, creative team members speaking, and he's speaking about an ad that he had some, control over that ultimately, led to this clip. So take a listen. If you're familiar with the movie Mommy Dearest, I'm eager to see what she actually says today.
Remember, my ad was Beautiful Joan with picture Mommy Dearest on it. And they came out with this headline, the biggest mother of them all, and no more wire hangers. And I went berserk. I really went berserk.
Now, that's the line that I remember. Let's listen to him say it again. He kind of mumbles through it.
Of them all, and no more wire hangers. And I went berserk.
No more wire hangers. That's exactly the line that I remember.
No more wire hangers. And I went berserk.
No more wire hangers. And you're saying that when I play the actual line, that's not what it is.
Right. You're not going to hear that.
All right, let's go. My mind, I don't know how many times a night I can blow my mind, but I'm sure she's going to say something like, not these wire hangers or something, it's going to be
she
way
doesn't
out.
say good morning. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, well, let's hope not. That's a terrible scene, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
It's gut-wrenching, and I'm not going to play all of it.
No wire hangers! What's wire hangers doing in this closet when I told you no wire hangers ever? Work till I'm half dead, and I hear people saying she's getting old. What do I get? A daughter! Who cares as much about the beautiful dresses I give her as she cares about me? What's wire hangers doing in this closet? Answer me!
Wow. Wow, it's frightening, actually, to sit back and listen. Very frightening.
Well, if you know that really well, that's an impactful scene. So if you thinking back, no more wire hangers. It's If you know it, you know it. And if the word "more" disappears, it just doesn't have the same ring anymore.
You're absolutely right, and I have memories because for some reason, this movie always appeared around this time of year, around the holidays, around Christmas time. For some reason, they'd show Mommy Dearest. And I remember my aunts and my uncles, when we would gather for Christmas, actually quoting this movie, no more wire hangers, because it was but she doesn't say that. She doesn't say that at all. It's bizarre. Very bizarre. Going to the wild card line, caller in the 920. Go ahead. You're on the air with the Rippin' Rabbit and Moneybags.
Good evening. I'm a newbie to this program. I find it interesting because I'm trying not to be political here because I know it's such a hot button with people that hate Trump, people that love Trump, people that hate Obama, people that love Obama. I just see, either Nancy Pelosi is an outright liar, or she's on to something here that's very mysterious. I see Donald Trump that comes out on only Fox News giving his point of view. I go to ABC News and I see them both coming together in a big conclave of lies. All right? I happen to believe that you're either a believer or a pagan. I'm choosing to be a believer in this Mandela effect. I don't have any background, I don't have any research, I don't have any facts, but it would seem to me that what we're going right now through, if you wanted to go back and verify any facts, I guess there was just a huge bombing over in Iran, and again, we have enemies and we have friends, all right? Somewhere along the line, we're coming to a civil war in this country, in my opinion. And I just think that this stuff has been going on for 50 years. I go back to JFK, and my dad had breakfast with President Kennedy and Jackie when he was senator. And I remember vividly some things that now are changing. But again, that was 50 years ago. I was 10 years old. I don't remember it as clearly as I probably think I do in my mind. I'm not giving this a pro or con, but I believe there's something going on, and it's leading up to a culmination. And right now, the way this whole civil war is going in the United States, I'm old enough to know, I'm almost 70, that this whole thing boiling together is almost like the civil rights back in the 60s.
Now,
I remember those. I was 10 years old. I go through the area. Yes.
Were you alive for the Kennedy assassination? Do you remember how many people were in the car?
Absolutely. I remember being on TV. I saw JFK get shot. I saw Robert F. Kennedy get shot. I saw Sirhan Sirhan. I would have to rethink all this, but I remember all of it. I was captivated by it. And, that for the first time today, if that happened, it would be all over the world instantly. But back then, again, we had black and white TVs. I remember the Beatles coming to America. In fact, I got a picture of the Beatles getting off the American, and this actually came from the Beatles, American Flyer airplane. It shows the guys getting off the plane, all of them, Ringo. I think there might have been another guy. I don't know if he's a producer or what. But I got that framed here in my office because all of this stuff that's coming back, and again, I'm looking back 60, I can go back 60 years, I guess. 60, I was 8 years old. I go back to, I know, because I have a picture right now of JFK coming out the front door of Boscobel, Wisconsin, when he was a senator, and my dad was chairman of the Democrat Party of Grant County. And again, the things that I remember versus the way they're being reported, I can see, and again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a philosopher, I don't know, but to me it looks like all of this stuff is being altered. We just got done watching the awards on TV. And again, think about it today. You got a whole new generation, and if you can project this stuff 50 years ago and alter it to your own benefit, and I don't know what that benefit is. It could be religiously, it could be politically, I don't know. You guys know more than I do. All I'm saying is, to me, you've got a spiritual battle going on here, if you please, and I think there's people at the top that are manipulating all of this kind of stuff. They're making Trump out a big liar. They're making Obama out a big liar. They're making Hillary a big liar. So depending on where you are, all I know is if I put something up on Facebook, either pro-Hillary or pro-Trump, or vice versa, I get shot right down out of the ground. So I believe there's a civil war boiling underneath here. And again, for whatever it's worth, that's what I'm going to throw out there. Thank
you, caller. We appreciate your call. And of course, the caller is suggesting that there is some sort of a, intended purpose behind these kind of changes for some political motivation, perhaps even going so far an extreme as saying civil war. Moneybags, what's your take on that?
Well, the way I see it, I believe that what the Mandela effect is teaching us in regards to what's been spoken about here by the caller is that maybe we have the choice to go down whichever road we want. We can get sucked into the way of thinking that, everything's going dark, or we can go down another road and we don't experience the reality where what the caller is talking about is actually playing out. But we don't have to necessarily, with the multiverse, you don't have to experience it. I know that's far-fetched, but I really do. There's incredible things going on. That's what we're talking about here tonight. And so, I believe that there is a hidden hand. There's a lot going on. But to me, the Mandela effect is bringing an option that never seemed possible before, to where, like I've said, the Mandela effect has taught me that we really are creating our own reality with our thoughts and beliefs. And everyone is experiencing this at a different time. A lot of us woke up together, but we're not all seeing the same things either. Like the one caller from Puerto Rico, he was saying that his name changed. Well, for him, it did. Now, I know Stephen King to be spelled the way you spelled it, AJ, but for him, it was different. Mm-hmm. And I don't deny him that. See, that's what I've learned with the Mandela effect. I've had people say, hey, this was this. And I learned early on, you don't come out and say, no, it wasn't, because my uncle, he blah, blah, blah. And, and I know that wasn't that. That doesn't work anymore. People are experiencing incredible things. Now, I don't mean to say that we don't make mistakes. I know we all make mistakes. I get that. But you can't just use your own recollection and say, oh, no, it was never that.
No, you bring up, that's a very important point, and I'm glad that we had this caller to bring that into the discussion, because you have a saying that you, a creed that you enter into your videos, go create the reality that you want. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Go create the reality that you want. And in essence, what you're saying, to your point just now, is that we're responsible for our destiny. And I know tonight we've had, the Christian point of view from the biblical changes in Mandela effect. And of course, if you're a believer, then through the Lord all things are possible. So even the Mandela effect is possible through Jesus Christ. And that's the reality for the believers in Christianity. Now, the atheists who don't believe in that philosophy have still put their faith in something. They've still put their faith in the fact that there isn't a God. Are you with me? So,
yes.
But there yet we find atheists and Christians alike sharing the phenomenon that we're experiencing and talking about in tonight's program of the Mandela effect. And there has to be a common ground with even the spirituality removed, to where we can come together and discuss our own feelings of what may be causing this. And without that communication, we have no clue. And I know that the wire hangers has gotten a big response. A lot of people very much shocked that it doesn't say no more wire hangers, and that's absolutely the case. Let's listen to it one more time because it's that good. Listen closely. It doesn't even sound right, Moneybags. When I hear it, it doesn't even sound like what I remember. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Let's listen.
No wire hangers! What's wire hangers doing in this closet when I told you no wire hangers ever? Work till I'm half dead, and I hear people saying she's getting old. What do I get? A daughter who cares as much about the beautiful dresses I give her as she cares about me. What's wire hangers doing in this closet? Answer me!
Just bizarre. I have such a vivid memory of her white face and her curlers and that robe beating her daughter with the wire hangers over and over and over again, saying no more wire hangers.
Yep, I agree.
Just nuts. Caller in the 603. Go ahead. You're on the air with Moneybags.
Hi.
Hi.
Did I get through this time?
You sure did.
I thought my phone glitched and it just went completely mute. This is Esther Anders. I don't know if Moneybags remembers. I've commented several times on this channel.
I do not, but thanks for calling in.
McFarlane show. What is that?
I said I don't recognize the name, but thanks for calling in.
Oh, yeah. I've been on Brian McFarlane show a couple of times. So
okay.
I would call in, and sometimes I was able to be part of the chat. I just wanted to share a couple of things. I have a long list, but I know there's a lot of people waiting. I've definitely loved your show, and I've watched many, and I voted many, many times on your channel.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
One of the things that one of the callers had mentioned about talking to famous people and movie stars and things, and asking them their opinions. And one person I was able to meet, we went to Boston Comic-Con this last fall, and I was able to meet Zachary Levi, who was Shazam. And I was able to ask him just a couple of questions because we kind of had to move on. But I did ask him a little bit. He was really excited about it. So if anybody can be able to have a chance to talk to him about the Mandela effect, he gets very, very excited about it. And he's really ready to talk about it. But yeah, he remembers Shazam just like the rest of us do, which I remember Shaquille O'Neal was it? No, not Shaquille O'Neal. The other.
That would really be a mind trip if Shaquille O'Neal was Shazam.
Yeah, it's one of those we've said it so many times now. It gets very confusing for me. So, but yeah, he remembers Shazam being a genie movie and all of that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And he said that's what introduced him to what the Mandela effect was, because he's like, I remember Shazam being a genie and and all of that. And he's like, no, it's not. It's never existed. So, and he said that confused him. And they said we kind of had to kind of leave it as that, and I kind of had to move on because there's people that were his managers and stuff were like, come on, they're kind of pushing me along. But yeah, it was pretty cool that he was definitely affected. So some of the actors, and I'm sure some of these people have seen changes. They just maybe aren't as vocal because most of the time when they mention it, they kind of seem crazy to other people. So it's still kind of one of those crazy conspiracy theories. So I've even had to be...
Caller, if I could interrupt for just a moment, because you bring up a really good point, and one that I know I wanted to talk about. And as long as you're on the line, I'll interrupt you for a moment, and I will play this particular clip. Speaking about, the ridicule, speaking about the people that want to disassociate with this mentality, with the thought that this, regardless of how it's happening, that this is happening, and banking on the false memory phenomenon versus, in Moneybags, we had talked in the last episode about perhaps this deserves a new name. Perhaps this needs something in 2020 to identify it away from Nelson Mandela, because the effects are so large. But doing this paranormal talk radio, we cover a lot of subjects. The Mandela effect is just one of them. We speak about UFOs. We speak about time travel. We speak about chemtrails. Okay. And in this world today, when you're faced with academia and you mention the word chemtrails, you're instantly associated with a lunatic or a crazy person or a conspiracy theory. So the word within the academia for what chemtrails are is consistent contrails or persistent contrails. So when you use that word, all of a sudden academia wakes up, they pay attention. But when you use the word chemtrails, now all of a sudden you're a crazy person, okay? So that being said, I want you to listen to a video that I found out on YouTube. And this guy is a nutbag, okay? I'm not going to name his name. I'm not going to name his channel. I'm just going to preface, that I absolutely disagree with the information that he's saying. And I'm going to play this for you, and it may upset the audience to hear how this person perceives what's taking place as far as the Mandela effect goes. But I think it's very important to the conversation that you brought up, caller. So listen closely.
And discriminate between memories as being real or unreal or right or wrong or good or bad is a path that goes nowhere healthy. It's a symptom and a cause of OCD, and trying to constantly discriminate and label your memories is only going to make you sicker. When we're trying to figure out if a memory is real or not, or if it's correct or not, we end up throwing ourselves down this rabbit hole of anxiety, looking at all these different characteristics and trying to invent reasons about what makes a real memory, what makes a false memory, what makes a thought good, or what makes a thought bad. And it's impossible to actually ever be certain. So it just throws us on this unending loop and causes more and more and more anxiety. Trying to figure out if a memory is real or not based on all these labels that you invent and all these characteristics that you invent is no different than trying to figure out if a banana is real or not by trying to count the brown spots on it.
And this goes on for like several minutes in between this, where he's trying to make fun of what this phenomenon is. And as concerning as that is, okay, he's entitled to his opinion, so I'll give him that. He's fair to think about whatever it is he wants to think about this phenomenon. But this is the part that concerned me, and I've cut out all the banana nonsense so that we can get to his explanation. And this is very concerning, especially when he's now basically labeling this as a sickness, which is very spooky in 2020. Because I feel like Luke, I am your father is the correct answer. I don't want to be labeled because of that. But listen, and listen to his explanation of why we shouldn't be paying attention to this.
Stuff in your head, whether it's a thought, a memory, an intrusive thought, a thought you feel you came up with, a memory that you remember getting, or a memory that just pops into your head, just accept it.
Just accept it. Listen to that.
Just accept it. It's brain indigestion. It's weather passing over your soul. It's just there. Right? It's just a banana.
So, Moneybags, your thoughts on that clip?
Oh, wow. I've spent a lot of time listening to people like him talk for hours, actually, because I like to hear the other side. And as time goes on, I just shake my head more and more. A lot of these people, they like to just talk about one instance where it's a thought you have. They don't talk about the fact there's thousands of people that all share this same thought in the same exact incorrect manner. He doesn't connect any dots. He just says, well, don't you know your brain is fallible and you have confabulations? And he just goes with you and your thoughts and memories. And that's what a lot of these people that talk this way, I notice that they do. They don't connect dots. They don't seem to, look at how this could be happening to so many different people. They just say, because they haven't really looked into it. That's how I see people like him.
Now, I will say that this video is over 7 years old, so it was put out right around the time when the Mandela effect first started really becoming popular. Caller, your thoughts on the crazy banana guy?
Are you sure he's not the one that needs to get help? Yeah, I just, when I hear that, when people say you can't trust your memory and things like that, it's like, well, then why aren't we all locked up in a crazy loony bin? How do we have jobs? How do we be able to do, they say muscle memory, things like that. Like with my son, he's in basketball, and the coach teaches them muscle memory. Throw the ball, make sure, and do this. We're going to teach you muscle. It's the same thing with your brain. When you watch like a movie so many times, you've memorized it, you've said it out loud. How do you just misquote it if you know that line and you've heard it a million times? Or like I've actually had a time where I've listened to a song very intently, like A Change I Found with Penny Lane. I actually heard it mid-change, and the next morning I woke up and it changed. I'm like, is my memory that bad to where I would forget overnight? If so, then I shouldn't be allowed to have a driver's license. I shouldn't be allowed to have children. I shouldn't be allowed to live if my memory is so bad that I can't remember what I heard the previous day and I hear it today. It sounds different. If you're saying my memory is that bad, then there's something major wrong with all of our brains.
Correct.
Not just my brain, but like everyone on planet Earth. That's what they're saying.
Yeah,
So
how can we all be wrong?
You're really going down a dangerous path.
Right.
So saying that, yes, there's going to be errors. There's going to be sometimes where I'll mishear a movie line or something, but if it's a line that you know by heart, or like I said, something you've researched and then it changes, and that's what freaks us out. So it's like, that's not something that's just mismemory.
No, I totally agree with you. Moneybags, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree also. That there's no way that, like I said, we all make mistakes, but there's things that you know, and all this I never even heard the word misremembering until this whole Mandela effect happened. I mean, it's just a funny word. I don't even think it's an actual word, misremembering, but everyone's throwing it around. Like, how can you misremember something unless you have to know what it was in the first place?
In order to,
In order to misremember it, you have to know what it was. And in most cases, you'll say, if someone says, hey, this is what it is, you'll go, oh, yeah, I misremembered that. That's what it is, because you knew it originally. That's not what's going on with the Mandela effect. It's not misremembering. It doesn't make any sense to be misremembering.
Caller, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take you down the weird banana guy, but go ahead, your comment or question.
Oh, I was just going to say, it was kind of like when you get in your car and you know that there's a stoplight in a certain spot, or you can give directions to people. And obviously it's not always going to be 100% exactly, but you're going to remember this, and this. Like, so our memories aren't completely fallible, as the banana man was saying.
You're right.
It's like there are going to be a little bit of bumps and bruises on the way, but you are going to have, you're still going to retain memory, and you're still going to have things. So it's where I would always caution anybody who's starting down that path of your memory is bad. Just remember that no one's 100%, but there are things that you know. to, like Brian, or sorry, so used to talking to Brian, like Moneybags was saying, you have memory. So definitely I would lean more on the trust your own memory and your own gut and your own, what you kind of like, what first comes to your mind. And I would trust that over saying all of your memories are bad, throw them all out. So, but yeah, I love the Beatles. I've listened to their songs all the time. I'm a huge fan, and I found several changes in their songs, and it really ticks me off when I'm listening to a song and they change, and I'm like, no, there was an S on that, or that word wasn't pronounced that way, or something is missing. So, it actually makes me mad. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I get mad, and I see a change or I hear a change, and it's for the most part, I haven't found anything that's been a good change. So I can't wait to have a Mandela effect, to have a good change.
Maybe that's coming in 2020, exciting times that we live in, and perhaps, caller, that's the theme for ending our show this evening, is that bright times are ahead. And don't be sad. We're here every month. So you can call in 12 times a year and just let go.
It'd be nice if I had people around me that's where Brian McFarlane and Teresa and the Facebook page that she's made up has done such a great thing, because everybody around me thinks the Mandela effect's crazy. I just have one coworker that I can tell her a little bit, but I have to give her small bits, and then she gets overwhelmed. She's like, okay, I'm done. I can't handle anymore. But then
I understand how your coworker feels. I really do, because Moneybags has blown my mind, and I'm very, very new to this. And this stuff makes no sense to me. And after we do these shows, usually it hits me in the morning. As I'm having coffee and I'm thinking about, what did we talk about? Wait, what? Scratch your head, aha moments.
Yeah, this was a process for us.
Yeah.
In the community. We learned these over the past 4 years.
Yeah.
But here you come in a few months ago. And now I have, this this sack or this bag of changes that I can just throw at you all day long. I mean, there's thousands. But I cannot not even imagine how that would have felt to have someone throwing that much stuff at me. My son asked me 6 things. I got them all wrong, and I was on the couch. I mean, I can only imagine just throwing hundreds of things at you. I would never do that to you, because there's a responsibility that comes along with being aware of so many of these things when you're dealing with someone who's experiencing.
Caller, you're the last caller of the evening. Will you do me a favor and say you're listening to the Rippin' Rabbit Hole?
So the Ripping Rabbit Hole?
Yep.
That was...
Yep. You're listening to the Rippin' Rabbit Hole with Moneybags and the Rippin' Rabbit.
You're listening to the Rippin' Rabbit Hole with Moneybags and Rippin' Rabbit.
That's awesome.
Is that good?
You did great. You did so good. You did so good. Thank you so much for your comments.
Well, thank you for taking me.
And we'll see you next month.
I'll definitely have to tune in next time.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling in.
It's a lot of fun to have these people, and that's it, folks. The wild card line is now closed. Our calls are now shut down. Moneybags, we've gone just about 3 hours. We headed into our second hour, and before you knew it, we blinked our eyes, and that was it.
You can't get rid of me yet. Remember, we got that. Are you ready?
I am ready.
I'm going to fire off about 7, 8 movie quotes.
You go ahead.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to start off with The Matrix. Have you seen The Matrix?
I have. Long time ago.
Okay. Well, would you say that there was a quote in the movie The Matrix where Morpheus says, "What if I told you?"
What if I told you? Yes. Okay.
There's tons of memes all over the internet with "What if I told you?" This, that, or the other thing.
Yes.
So the "What if I told you" was never said in the Matrix movie.
What do you mean?
Morpheus never said, "What if I told you?" He never said that line.
Okay, what did he say?
That's a big. Well, there's nothing in place of it. He just never says. People remember him saying, "What if I told you?" And I can't remember what the rest of the line was. But I remember him saying, "What if I told you?" You know, those like that.
I remember. Will you choose the red pill or the blue pill or the green pill or whatever it was?
It was in that scene. Yeah, it was in that scene. But he says, "What if I told you something about reality?" Yeah. But he never said those words. What if I told you? He never said those words.
Wow.
Okay. Scary Movie. Did you happen to watch Scary Movie?
1, 2, or 3?
No, first one, I believe.
Yeah, I saw that one.
There's a line in there where the character Shorty is on the couch, and he says, "I see white people." Have you ever heard of that?
I see white people?
Yeah, it's a spoof on The Sixth Sense.
Right, I see white people.
Yeah, and it was funny because he's a black guy. He says, "I see white people," and it was just funny, like the Scary Movie.
Yeah, we had a caller who called in about that last week.
Right. Well, now he says, "I see dead people," which is the exact quote from The Sixth Sense. So it's not even a spoof. He just says, "I see dead people." That's the exact same thing they said in Sixth Sense.
Interesting. Now,
so that's an interesting thing.
Now,
there.
Before you move on to the next mind-blowing surprise in your fire-off rapid ones, I do want to point out that Dark Wolf Den says, "What if I told you that everything you know is a lie?" Now, does that make sense?
Right.
What if I told you everything you know is a lie? And now that's the phrase that you're referencing before.
That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, that does make sense. Actually,
the second half of it, but yeah, that sounds familiar to me. But I remember hearing "What if I told you?" But that doesn't exist. But if everything you knew is a lie, sounds right.
Hit me with another one.
Okay. James Bond. You watch James Bond?
I do.
I've been expecting you, Mr. Bond. Is that something that you might have heard in any of the movies?
Of course. I've been expecting you, Mr. Bond.
Yeah. Never said in any movie.
You, Mr. Bond. No?
Never said in any movie.
No movie quotes out there at all.
No one's been able to find it. Now, I could be wrong on that, but I haven't been able to find it. I've looked. Can't find... usually you can put that in YouTube and a little clip of it will come up. Like the name's Bond, James Bond, that'll come right up. Well, actually, my name's Bond, James Bond.
My name's Bond, James Bond.
Yeah, that comes right up. The name's Bond, James Bond is very hard to find, and I would have thought that was familiar. So
My Life HC33 confirming, yes, it was. What if I told you everything is a lie? And now that we're hearing that, it actually makes sense. Now it seems we were both struggling. I couldn't remember it. You couldn't remember it. And now that we're seeing it, now it makes sense.
Yeah, well, there's some people that's a huge change for them, so they know it very well. How well do you know Lord of the Rings? Did you see that movie?
I'm very bad with the Lord of the Rings. Very bad.
Okay, well, there's a Gandalf is falling off a cliff and he yells something. He yells, "Something, you fools." That's a big change to a lot of people.
See, that one's a tough one for me because I don't even know who Gandalf is, unfortunately.
Okay, well,
I've watched the movies, but I usually fell asleep during them.
Well, people remember him saying, "Run, you fools." But if you go watch the movie now, he says, "Fly, you fools."
Okay.
So that's different. In The Outsiders, you remember The Outsiders from the 80s?
The Outsiders, yes. Oh, yeah. We have this clip. Is this Stay Golden?
Yes.
Okay, so
Golden,
let's listen to Jimmy Fallon, Pop Culture Residue of this very movie clip, because I do remember the movie, and this was one I wanted to know the answer to too. We'll play the actual clip after this, but listen closely.
Nature. Stay golden, pony boy. These are the best answers ever. Stay golden, pony boy. Oh my gosh. Another good reference. Oh my gosh.
Stay golden, pony boy. And you're saying, now that's actually a reference.
Stay gold, pony boy.
And that's actually what he says.
Movie.
Stay
There's
gold,
the movie.
pony boy.
Stay gold, pony boy.
Yeah. So here's the reference.
Nature. Stay golden, pony boy.
And here is the actual clip from the movie.
Stay gold, pony boy. Stay gold.
Completely changed.
Yes, completely different.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff the Mandela effect is made of. That's the stuff that blows your mind. Because I remember Stay Golden, pony boy, as he's,
one of my old bosses used to say, "Oh, we're golden, stay golden," or whatever. He used to say golden all the time, and I know he's referencing The Outsiders, and it was gold, stay gold.
Now, another one that we didn't get to touch on, that I'll touch on real quickly because he's one of my favorite actors, Al Pacino. And Al Pacino in the movie makes a very notable statement in the courtroom. Set that clip up for us.
Yeah, in Justice for All, Al Pacino is, he's raging in the courtroom, and the judge it says, "You're out of order," and he's, "I'm out of order. You're out of order. This whole courtroom's out of order.
This whole courtroom's out of order." That's what he says, of course. I'm out of order. You're out of order. This whole courtroom's out of order.
But it was a great quote. It was a great line because it was like, "I'm out of order. You're out of order, Judge." I mean, it was just a great line. But now
again,
different.
if you're listening and you're just joining us or you're tuning into the end of the broadcast somewhere during the middle of the calls, you have no idea what we're talking about. This is the stuff that Moneybags is known for. And top hats off to you, Evan, for the work that you've done, the over 400 videos that you've collaborated and put together with other users in your over 400,000 subscriber base, all of which are very friendly. I've got to say.
40,000. I got to correct you. 40,000. You said 400,000.
Oh, well, 400,000 before the end of the year. That's my prediction for 2020. 40,000 subscribers. Either way, your callers, your chatters, everyone is fantastic. But these residuals that you bring with validate these things. So when you say, "I'm out of order, you're out of order, this whole courtroom's out of order," we understand it, but we're just us. Now, pop culture actually picks up on this stuff and reveals it to us in a modern way. So listen closely to Joey on Friends reciting this line.
That was my agent. My agent has just gotten me a job in the new Al Pacino movie.
Oh my God!
Good
Who was the part?
Can you believe this? Al Pacino. This guy's the reason I became an actor. I'm out of order. You're out of order. This whole courtroom's out of order.
So this is pop culture. This is residue, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just Al Pacino. It's all of these clips, all the way back to Darth Vader. Now, I'm going to go back with more residual on that. And we're going to read the results from the poll tonight. But first, even bigger than Friends, a huge actor doing the comic roast of Al Pacino, Robin Williams. Rest in peace. And he is roasting live in front of celebrities and Hollywood. I mean, this is a gala event. And he's roasting Al Pacino And this is what he says. Listen closely.
Yeah, baby. You got Donnie Brasco. Forget about it. You got Injustice for All, the present administration going, I'm out of order. You're out of order.
I'm out of order. You're out of order. This whole courtroom's out of order is the line I remember, and the line is not that line. Is that what you're saying?
Nope, it's changed in more than one way. I hope you're able to pull the clip from the actual movie.
Of course. Let's listen to this Al Pacino moment, I think in 1979. Classic Americana movie quote that has now changed according to the Mandela effect. Listen closely.
Mr. Kirkland, you are out of order. You're out of order. You're out of order. The whole trial is out of order. They're out of order. That man, that's crazy.
I'm out of order. You're out of order. The whole trial is out of order.
No, he said, you're out of order. You're out of order.
Oh, he doesn't even say I'm out of order. Hold on, let's play.
You just thought the courtroom changed to trial?
Yeah.
No, listen to the
Wait
beginning.
a second. Hold on. I have to hear the whole thing over again now.
It's mind-blowing.
The actual clip from Al Pacino, 1979.
Mr. Kirkland, you are out of order. You're out of order. You're out of order. The whole trial is out of order. They're out of order. That man, that's crazy.
Wow.
There's no I'm.
You're right.
It's just your.
Now let's listen to Robin Williams' roast.
Yeah, baby. You got Donnie Brasco. Forget about it. You got Injustice for All, the present administration going, I'm out of order. You're out of order.
I'm out of order. You're out of order. And Robin really covers Al Pacino's voice so well in that.
There's another clip on YouTube of Robin Williams getting behind Al, and he whispers something to him, and then Al starts reciting the quote, I'm out of order, you're out of order, but it's with Robin's voice saying the line, like they did it together, and Al his lips are moving along to the I'm out of order, you're out of, I mean, he's doing it also. You can't see that here on the radio.
No.
There's just so much. There's so much incredible stuff that you can find.
Well, you're absolutely right. And you cannot see this stuff on the radio. And that's why we included a link to tonight's show notes listed below both videos. You can click over. We're going to leave that poll up for a few days, maybe the better part of the next week or so. And if you're listening on demand and you weren't able to be here live, you can still go ahead and vote on No versus Luke. Now, it starts off with Darth Vader, and it takes a poll of the thoughts of some of the movie clips that we discussed tonight. So the total comes in right now for Darth Vader, The Empire Strikes Back. 2 votes. Total of 9% for No, I Am Your Father. That's live tonight. That's during this broadcast. Okay. Luke, I Am Your Father, 21 votes, 91%. 91% of the listening audience that took part in this poll agrees Luke, I Am Your Father, or hears Luke, I Am Your Father, or knows that phrase. Now, what do you think the odds are on The Wicked Witch of Oz and Fly My Pretties Fly?
100%.
100%. Evan, you nailed it. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. 100% Fly My Pretties Fly. Now, between your channel and my channel, we've got the better part of 300 listeners live. Now, of those 300 listeners, at least 25 people took time to vote tonight. And 100% of the people who voted said, fly, my pretties, fly. Life is like a box of chocolates, no different, 100%. Hello, Clarice, 100%. So out of all the questions that we asked in the poll tonight, only 2 votes, 9%, said something different than what we discussed, we remembered. What does that mean?
Means there's something going on. That's where I'm at.
It sure does. It sure does. Earth Daughter is asking where to vote. In the video below, if you're listening live right now, Earth Daughter, you can do this. It's in the link in the description to tonight's show notes. Boy, my tongue really starts to go after 2.5 hours, if you can't notice.
3.
Yeah, it's almost 3. There's a link to tonight's show notes. It's going to take you over to the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. And then on that page, there's a place where you can vote. And we would ask you to do that, yet still, if you're listening tonight, we're going to recap these results again the next time you're on the show. I don't know, Moneybags. Maybe a month is too far apart of a distance for us to go. Maybe we need to do this every other week. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when we nailed down once a month, I was thinking, man, I gotta wait 30 days to get back on here and have fun with this incredible phenomenon. So, maybe we'll have a surprise visit here, every couple of weeks.
Well, let's see what the audience...
We'll work something out, but I definitely want to come back. I really enjoy being on the show.
Let's see what the audience thinks.
Incredible opportunity. I wanted to say I've always wanted to take calls, and I don't have the technology or the know-how, and I really appreciate the opportunity to take calls. It's something I've been wanting to do for years, so I appreciate your help with that by having me on the show and able to talk to these people that have been following my YouTube channel. I just get comments, but I haven't been able to hear them talk, and so I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you, and top hats off to you. And like I said at the beginning of the show tonight, when you reached out to me, I had no idea. I had no idea. On Twitter, you don't have the same large following that you have on YouTube. So I had no idea that you had a community of people behind you. And you're a voice for those people. And put a chat in the chat room, put a 1 if you can applaud with me what Moneybags has been able to achieve in the research of Mandela effect. I know it makes a huge difference to me in my life, and I'm sure if you're listening, it makes a big difference to you too. So put a 1 in the chat room in regards, and we take our top Rippin' Rabbit hats off to you, Evan Moneybags 73. Did I call you 76 today?
I didn't hear 76.
Good. Very good. And the ones...
can I hit you with one last one before we go off the air?
Absolutely. Please do.
Did you ever see Tarzan? This is going back.
I did.
There's a famous quote that I heard my whole life as a kid and growing up, and it's a famous quote said by Tarzan in the tree. I believe it's... My mind tells me he was in a tree and sitting there with Jane. Or maybe they were sitting on the ground. Do you recall a famous quote from Tarzan? Well, yeah, that. But I mean, here, let me help you out a little bit. Well, I don't know how to say it without giving it away. It's he talks about himself and then he talks about her in relation to their names.
I Tarzan, you Jane.
Me Tarzan, you Jane.
Me
Did
Tarzan,
you ever hear that?
you Jane. Yeah.
Have you ever heard me Tarzan, you Jane?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was
I just wanted to let you know that was never said in Tarzan. I just wanted to leave you with that.
Well, you sure leave me with stuff. You've blown my mind again. We did 3 hours tonight. Congratulations, bud. Live
thank
calls,
you.
too.
Yeah.
Nuts.
This is I have a lot of respect for people that, I listened to people do what we're doing years ago, and I'm like, man, that'd be so cool to take calls and to be doing that. But hey, this takes a lot out of you.
We're less than a minute, so finish up and say your goodnights in less than a minute. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that, this takes a lot out of you, but I wouldn't change it for anything. I'm happy to be able to represent the community. I'm happy. I'm proud of myself for not giving up. This is an incredible phenomenon that we're experiencing. And, what comes to mind is what Cynthia Sue Larson says is, how good can it get?
I agree.
I really like that. And it's such a positive thing. And I think the best way to look at this, because it can be very scary.
Create the reality.
So go create the reality that you want, and we'll be speaking to everybody soon.
My big top hats off to you. Thanks for coming on. Stick around. I'll talk to you backstage in just a few moments. And for those of you, stick around. We're going to go into just the final moments here of the show. Woo! We did it. We spent another Sunday night together. Give yourselves a round of applause for being smart enough to be here. We're here every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evening, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. And my guest tonight, Moneybags, will be a regular on our program, appearing here monthly. The first weekend of every month is our Mandela monthly weekend. Mark your calendars, get on our mailing list, and stay in tune with us here at Rippin' Common Sense Radio at the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. If you have enjoyed this evening's program, please thumb up that video. We need all the help we can get here in 2020 as we continue to deliver these types of broadcasts to you. If you haven't done so already, please stop over to Rippin' Rabbit Hole and join our mailing list. You can get there very easily through the show notes listed below, or just go to rippinrabbithole.com. That's RIPON, rabbithole.com. Or subscribe to us on YouTube, and you'll get our live notifications every time we go live, which is consistent. Again, wherever you may be, good morning, good evening, or good night, whatever the case may be. I'm AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. Until we meet again, take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
You try to talk to him, you see him disappear. Oh, they call him Mr. Rabbit. Oh, simply Mr. Rabbit. You've never seen such a creature like this. A human body and a rabbit face. Oh, they call him Mr. Rabbit.
Once there was an old man living in an old house down by the lake. Rumor says the man was hunting for rabbits just for fun. Since the day the rabbit disappeared for a while, then came back and cast a spell over the old man. So he looks like a rabbit too now.
You're listening to Rippin' Common Sense Radio.
That's right, where we take you well into the midnight hour with our special Art Bell Archives show happening tonight and every night this weekend, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. Tune in as we open up the Art Bell Archives and dive into the lost classics of a vocal treasure. We take a look at those stories and we bring them up to date and we share them with you. We ask for your input and your shout-outs, your call-ins, as we go through the most amazing stories ever told. Tune in tonight and every night as we reinvestigate the Art Bell Archives live.
The Art Bell Archive Show. 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, rippincommonsense.com.
Now, just a quick reminder before we say goodnight, if you're still hanging out and chatting in the chat room, make sure, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Rippin' Rabbit Hole at YouTube. We're trying to hit a goal of 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year. That's our prediction goal. If you've missed any of our episodes, you can go back and watch everything we've done since the start of this program on our website or at YouTube in our archives. We've covered a number of subjects, including multiple episodes on tonight's subject, the Mandela effect, as well as time acceleration, black holes, deep space, mining asteroids, mental telepathy and mind reading, including the Atacama skeleton, shadow people. We take a look at all of Art Bell's radio show program subjects and we dust them off, we bring them out of the archives, and we bring them up to date for 2020 for you. It's a lot of fun here at the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. I'm glad that you're a part of it. It's going to be an exciting year. Make sure you join that mailing list. Moneybags will be back next month, the first weekend of every month in 2020. Make sure you do your part. Subscribe, comment below, whatever the case may be. Be interactive. That's what we're looking for you to do. So thank you so much for being here as we now return to a previously recorded program here on Rippin' Common Sense Radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole.
Whatever was the truth, it did not matter. He would hunt her down and cut her with his smile. Last time he was seen was by the pawn shop. He traded 2 gold teeth for a sack of corn. And he would plant it on the outskirts of the city as a warning that he would someday return. He said he never found her and he's still looking. It is said he searches rivers for some sign. But the truth is that he caught her down in Georgetown with a Spaniard who had left his wife behind.
Is basically vertical. Within a few weeks, that changed again to the V. That was the vector was toward the inside, and then sometime in late March, that V had rotated slightly downward, still on the inside toward the sinuses. But that V shape had got longer and it rotated slightly. And you made another mention of it. I wrote on your comment section that
you might have to do all your videos over again because so many things have changed. Also at that time, you covered a movie that was playing. It was Back to the Future, the first one. And there's a scene where, well, let's say, number one, it's not the Iranian vehicle anymore. It's a blue Volkswagen. You did mention that. But in a camera scene, the car is coming toward the camera, and it's the old Volkswagen emblem with the gap. And then the camera angle changed, and it was the newer version without the gap. And it was really interesting that happened within a few feet of film. That change, it happened in a few feet of film. Is that still there? Have you ever gone back to look at any of those changes?
Interesting.
The ones that you bring up, I have not gone back to look at. As you were talking, I'm trying to remember what you're saying. I looked at so much information, and when I was looking at the skulls, I did a number of, like 2 or 3 videos on the skulls. It seemed like they kept changing every time I kept looking at them. So I don't know. That it's just so mind blowing. With the Volkswagen, I always remember a brown Toyota van, not the Volkswagen that's in the movie now. I do know what you're talking about with the logo. As it's approaching, it kind of shifts from where there's a break between the V and the W, and then not a break. I wasn't sure what was going on there, so I never really dove too deep into that. But I definitely know what you're talking about. There's so many anomalies and strange things. It's I ask everyone, is there anyone you're able to talk to about all this?
I have someone. My girlfriend has identical memories. I recognize that I am extremely fortunate in that. And I read other people's heartbreak. They're frightened. And I understand that, and I feel so bad for everybody. I absolutely recognize I am extremely lucky to be with someone that has identical memories. And sometimes we can laugh about these changes, but sometimes we just look at each other like, uh-oh, because some of these changes aren't that great. So I feel so sorry for you people. I have another question, if AJ would allow it.
Sure.
Do you remember, Moneybags, do you remember in about 1976 that Daredevil wing walker on top of the jet? Do you remember that?
On top of, I'm not sure what you're
wing
referring
walker
to.
on top of a jet.
He's strapped to a post sticking up in the top center of a jet airliner, and he's flying to a nearby air show, and rain squall came off of the Great Lake, and the aircraft had to land in Chicago. He was connected to the ground by radio, and they heard him saying that he was being hit by gravel, and he was burned severely, and his clothing was shredded. And I remember that fellow survived, but Mary says he died. Now, and I told you, we have identical memories, so one of us is remembering it wrong. So I tried to look it up. Number one, I realized that they did not stop the wing walking here. They did where I came from. It was outlawed back sometime in the 80s, early 80s.
Crazy.
They're still doing it.
No, I'm not.
Again.
I have a faint memory of something about what you're talking about, but I don't know it very well. But it brings to mind the Tank Man in China, where people saw him get run over, and in this reality, he jumps up on the tank and never gets run over.
Oh, you mean in Tiananmen Square? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you able to mention that jetliner stuntman on your site and see if somebody can find it? And I know that it might be impossible for you to spend the time, but you have thousands of people. Maybe somebody can find it.
Maybe.
Yeah,
perhaps.
I'll look into that if I have time. That sounds interesting.
Thank you so much, caller.
Thanks for calling in.
Merry Christmas.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Good show. I'm listening. This sounds great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Wow. Well, we've come to the bottom now. Moneybags, thank you so much for being here. My top hat's off to you. Please continue to do the work that you do. And I
don't see myself stopping anytime soon.
Well, you can't stop. You've got, important work
I'm
to do.
I'm too passionate. I can't. I don't want to stop. I'm too passionate. I hope nothing stops me. It's just a fascinating phenomenon that a lot of us are experiencing, and it's something that's not stopping. I think more and more people are learning about it, and for whatever reason, to me, it's a positive thing. It's part of the awakening that's happening within a lot of us, and it just was always going to happen. I don't want to look at it from a negative light, although I do see some questionable, nefarious type changes like other people do, but I'm not going to concentrate on that. I don't see how that would benefit me or anyone else. So,
I got one more call on the wild card line. That's what happens when you talk for 2 hours straight. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, thanks for this. I just came late to this live stream, so I'll listen to the replay. So I don't know if you've talked about this, and if you have, then that's fine. But I watched Recall Vector a couple nights ago about Nancy Pelosi. Have you guys seen that?
No, I haven't.
I did,
Her
yes.
bust line
That
has
struck
gotten
me.
huge. Her bust line has gotten huge. She has huge boobs.
Yeah, they look.
And I'm visiting my
rather
folks
large
right
to me
now,
as well.
and I'm red pilling them like crazy because they watch Fox all the time. And I'm like, yeah, have you seen Nancy Pelosi's boobs? They're like, what? And I played that Recall Vector video, and their mouths are just hanging open. And so then they went online and they looked up pictures of her just from a few days ago because my mom's like, whoa, remember that red dress? And she looked at it, and she's got huge breasts. It's like, what the heck? When did this happen?
Does she actually wear that
So it's
low cut
actually
stuff?
helping red pill. I'm sorry?
That looks photoshopped to me. I never seen her dressed that way. That like revealing it.
It's
you
Nancy
can't find a
Pelosi.
picture of her now without boobs. They're huge.
Well, if the heart is
There's even
if the heart
articles
is
about it
capable
on
of
Reddit
changing,
going back to like 2006 and 2009. They've always been this way.
This is funny.
Yeah, his video definitely struck me as like, whoa, I don't remember her like that. But yeah, definitely something going on there.
Thank you so much for the reference, caller.
You bet.
Merry Christmas.
You bet. Merry Christmas and happy holy days. Okay. That's what
You
Karen
too.
B says.
Thank
Okay, bye.
you.
Can I mention one last thing before we go off here?
Yeah,
JJ?
go ahead.
He brought up Recall Vector. I watch his videos on YouTube. He recently did an incredible video with JFK. We know the car with the 4 versus 6 people. Real quick on his famous quote, ask not. Are you familiar with anything JFK ever said? Started off with ask not.
What your country can
Do you know that at all?
for you, but what you can do for your country.
Exactly. That's exactly what I recall. That's exactly what another president recalled in a letter that he wrote. That's what's recalled in numerous newspaper articles. That's never what he said. You go watch the 1961 inaugural, and he now says, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. The but is gone, and it's now ask. So you can check that out when you have some time. That's a huge. I didn't do a video on it because I thought Recall Vector did a good enough job, but I definitely did shout out his video because to me that's huge. That's huge. It was ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That's what it always was. That's not what it is now.
Moneybags, it's always a pleasure. Merry Christmas to you. Top hats off to you. Big round of applause. Put a 1 in the chat room if you've enjoyed tonight. I want to shout out to all of Moneybags' community, too. Your community is really wonderful. You know, just in the tradition of Art Bell's, I don't screen calls. So you've got a very polite audience, and I give a big round of applause for the Moneybag community, because it really is a special place. And I'm glad that you're there for that outlet. Thank you for doing what you do.
Well, you're welcome, and everyone else that I'm happy I was able to help. But I always say that everyone else helped me just as much as I was helping them with my videos, because they gave me someone to speak to when I was really hit with this hard back in 2016. I don't know what I would have done without the community that we have formed, that was starting to form late 2015 before I joined. It's a great place for all of us that are seeing this phenomenon, and I thank God for YouTube and for all of you to help me, get through this myself.
Well, I look forward to a bright and shiny new year with you, my friend. Thank you so much. And folks, thanks to all of you out there in the YouTube world, both on simulcast on Moneybag 73 channel and at Rippin' Rabbit Hole. A big shout out and a Merry Christmas to all of you. I look forward to spending the new year with you as well. Bizwoofer, Daggy, Happy Shifting, Z Rabbit, Daggy, Stober, 51, Grenoff. If I'm forgetting any of you, please forgive me. And of course, all of you out there in Moneybag 73 land. It's a real pleasure hanging out with you. And thank you, and Merry Christmas to all of you. We did it, folks. We spent another Sunday night together. Give yourselves a round of applause for being smart enough to be here. What a fantastic night. Again, another mind-blowing evening, thanks to my guest, Moneybag 73. He's going to become a regular on this show, I'm sure of it. Anyways, from my house to yours, I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas and a happy holidays, wherever you may be. Join us again next week, as we'll have all new lineup of material and content that we'll be sharing with you. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to that mailing list over there at ripinrabbithole.com. Get on that mailing list. We send out our schedule every Wednesday. We update our Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night shows starting at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. I'm your host, AJ, the Rippin' Rabbit. Until we meet again, good evening, good night, good morning, good day, whatever the case may be. Take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
Mr. Rabbit makes his way through the reeds. He tries to hide his very long legs under a big hat, 'cause he wants to be incognito. You try to talk to him, you see him disappear. Call him Mr. Rabbit. Simply Mr. Rabbit. You've never seen such a creature like this. A human body and a rabbit face. They call him Mr. Rabbit. Mr. Rabbit.
Once there was an old man living in an old house down by the lake. Rumor says the man was hunting for rabbits just for fun. Since the day the rabbits disappeared for a while, then came back and cast a spell over the old man. so it looks like a rabbit too now.
Such a creature like this, a human body in a